Good morning, Canada. Welcome back to another episode of Question Period. Today is September 25th, 2024, and they are indeed doing a vote of non-confidence today. This is going to be a instrumental day in Canadian history because, hey man, everybody is absolutely fed up with Justin Trudeau. And I gotta say, I feel nervous, not because I'm streaming, but just because it just feels different. I feel like something crazy is going to happen. Jagmeet Singh and the Bloc, to summarize, Jagmeet Singh was in a coalition. The NDP were in a coalition with Justin Trudeau and the Liberals. And then he did this massive public breakup video where it went super parabolic viral. He even used this channel's footage. In his breakup video, you could see me in the bottom right, just like you do in every single Question Period video on this channel. How you know the difference between what channel I'm using? Well, I mean, I got a screen pulled up. Don't worry about the polls. We're gonna look at that in a moment here. But House of Canada, bottom right, and Mr. Sunshine, top left. And Jagmeet Singh used this channel's footage, which is absolutely insane. But nonetheless, here we are, and today is the day. So he's been talking a big game, saying, hey man, we don't agree with Justin Trudeau, but we also don't agree with Pierre. We're not going to vote for non-confidence. I just feel like today is different. A lot of people are anticipating this, and I'm nervous. Look, I've watched every single Question Period. Hell, I've streamed pretty much every single Question Period for like almost 3 years now. And weak knees, arms, mom, spaghetti. My palms are sweaty today. So I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's just jitters because there was 200 plus people in the waiting room. I don't know. I've done some pretty massive streams, but it just feels like today is crazy. So let me know down in the chat if you think today is also crazy. I just feel like there's something in the air. Maybe I'm just building that up in my own head, but I feel like today's the day where we vote Trudeau out with a vote of non-confidence, triggering a federal election. Holy smokes, I will have the best sleep I've ever had if that is the case. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another live stream, everybody. I've got a poll running in the live chat for those that are just tuning in. If you're watching the replay, if you're tuning in later on and it's still live, there's a literal, it says live on the stream and there's a little blinks red. That's how you know, or it is red. That's how you know you're live. So make sure that you're fully caught up if you are tuning in 15, 20 minutes after, or you know, after it's already gone live. And if you are watching the replay, just skip ahead maybe like 30 minutes or 40 minutes. That's when Question Period is actually going to begin. I just wanted to go live earlier today because I've got the jitters, man. I'm actually a little bit nervous. There's also some stuff that we're going to be taking a look at, such as those who missed Pierre's official vote of non-confidence tabling of the motion. It's all legit. He can't just go into, you know, a press conference and say, I vote for no confidence. Let's do it. I mean, there's an actual speech he has to give. The House Speaker has to recognize it, and then it's official, right? So that has been done. And then there's a whole lot of other things kind of going on as well. And some CTV or CBC analysts have something to say, and I'm laughing because CTV is banned. For those who missed it, Pierre Poilievre, holy crap, man, I can't stop my giggles. For those who missed it, Pierre Poilievre banned CTV from talking to, or pretty much reporting on conservative MPs. There is no conservative MP until Pierre says so that can actually go and talk to CTV because they've been manipulating footage. It's not a mistake. They didn't accidentally misquote. They literally took two different pieces of videos and mashed it together and said, hey, look, this is what Pierre Poilievre said. So Pierre says, okay, you're banned. We have nothing to do with CTV. We're not giving you any time of day. So that's absolutely insane, and I support that, and I think that's he doesn't need it. Pierre doesn't need the mainstream media. He really doesn't. People are less and less trusting the mainstream media, especially when it comes to politics. You know, your small town story. You know, Suzanne, 67 years old, living on the corner of ABC Street, whose cat went up a tree. The media, you know, does a story on that. Yeah, I mean, of course, people are gonna, you know, go to the media for that because you're not gonna see a live streamer out there. But nonetheless, for you know what happens in question period, what happens with press conferences, what happens with what politicians are saying, the policies that they're doing, people are trusting the media less and less, and they're coming to channels like this, House of Canada, which is why yesterday we crossed 113,000 subscribers, and now today we're about to cross potentially 114,000 subscribers. That's 1,000 subscribers in a day. It doesn't make any sense, but people are hungry for this material. People want it, so I guess it does make sense. And also, we have an amazing community here on House of Canada. So shout out to all you, and I see that there are already some memberships being thrown around here. Hank the Hill, Propane, gifted 5 channel members. Thank you, Hank. You have been gifting a lot of channel members. We really appreciate that. And then $6.99 from Kevin McInerney. Kevin Inerney. SDTC whistleblower from last week should be enough to cause a proper vote. We'll see, I guess. Absolutely. Like everything that's going on, there's so much corruption. It's just unfathomable. Look, I'm a product of the institution, of the government, right? I worked for the federal government. I worked in the military. I was raised, like most of us, with, you know, maybe liberal parents. I know there might be some people that are like, I've been conservative for generations. Yeah, cool. A lot of people, historically speaking, Canada has been a pretty progressive country. And I was raised by a liberal household, right? Old liberal, not pronoun liberal, old school liberal, which is pretty much conservatism right now anyways. And I am seeing my entire belief system shatter in front of me in real time. But I'm also making videos and live streaming the process. I used to trust the government. I still have a little bit of faith in the system. I know a lot of people don't, and that's fine. I'm not quite given up fully yet, but I'm heartbroken at what has happened to this country, as are many other people. And it's times like this, it's days like today that are super pivotal in Canadian history. Holy smokes, I'm at a loss for words. With a vote of non-confidence. Now, there's nothing really that you and I can do other than just support them. You know, we do actually have real confirmation, not some clickbait made up stuff, real confirmation that MPs on the House floor watch this channel on their phones. They might mute it. You can see them from time to time put their phone up to their ear to hear what's being said. They look at the chat. So it does really happen. How do I know this? Look, I've got confirmation. We've also been able to literally see it on the stream. So believe that or not, it's factual, and it's kind of crazy to to believe. So nonetheless, it's hello Trudeau. Hopefully you got voted out today. That's all I got to say about that. We got some more super chats here. Holy smokes, folks. Calm down, eh? $20 from the poor man's poet. Hope your spidey senses are correct and you guys get a vote in non-confidence today. Let's go. Thank you so much for that 20 American. Holy smokes, man. That's like a bajillion Canadian. Appreciate that. Yeah, maybe it is spidey senses. It's a weird feeling. I did my normal routine this morning, right? I had my morning time with my family. I feel good. I got my full cup of coffee. I'm hydrated. You know, I feel good, but just something feels off. Maybe it's my wants are kind of taking over the reality, but nonetheless, I feel like something pretty magical is going to happen today. And you know what? Pierre could have done this on any day. This is something to think about. Pierre could have called for a vote of non-confidence on any day. And I don't believe, I'm not 100% certain, but I do not believe that a vote of non-confidence must take place on on party leader day, on caucus leader day, which is today, Wednesdays, which is why the best debates happen on Wednesdays. I think it can happen any day of the week, whether Trudeau is actually there or not. It just so happens that he left New York last night or yesterday, and he's back. He's in the House today. So we got Pierre, we got Trudeau, we got everybody. Everybody who's a somebody is there in Parliament today. And it's crazy because that's when there's the most eyes on question period. So I'm not sure if Pierre strategically timed it so it would happen when he came back from New York, because he's a government worker. He's a co-worker with Justin Trudeau. They work in the same building. I can only assume that Pierre had knowledge that Trudeau was going to New York on a certain day and coming back, and he would be coming back to this, and that he would have to talk about the vote of non-confidence or the potential of an election on the Stephen Colbert. I just feel like it was a massive strategy, because now you have Americans who've been exposed to the late night show with Stephen Colbert. Like, think about that. Think about that. The average American who maybe only really cared about Canadian politics during the Freedom Convoy going, oh yeah, that Trudeau guy. Yeah, he's crazy, man. He froze bank accounts. You're absolutely right. But now Trudeau just went on the largest, or one of the largest, late night shows in America. Millions of people watch. I hate to admit it, but millions of people do watch. And Trudeau literally admitted, he had to admit, because Stephen asked him, your opposition parties are calling for a vote of non-confidence, which could trigger an election. Please tell us about that. So Trudeau, on the largest late night show, had to talk about what's about to happen today. So now you have a bunch of people in America, and it doesn't really make a difference. They don't have a say. We don't really have a say in whether this vote of non-confidence gets pushed through or not, but it brings eyes to what's happening, and it adds more social pressure, either for in favor of Trudeau or in this case against him. But it's very, very interesting that Pierre waited for a few days before Justin Trudeau went to New York, where he knew he was going to talk on Stephen Colbert, to mention, I'm going to call a vote of non-confidence, and timed it so that it happened right when he got back. I feel like this is a bit of an Easter egg. Look, I've never had communication with conservative MPs. I've sent an email to one of them to maybe do an interview. It didn't work out. But I've never had communication with Pierre's team, anything. And I see what's happening, and I feel like it's these Easter eggs that he's kind of dropping, these little breadcrumb trails for us to pick up. And dude, Pierre, I'm watching. I feel like he timed this perfectly so that there would be hundreds of thousands of people paying attention to what happens today, whereas there would only be maybe dozens of thousands of people. So it's pretty cool. And not to get conspiracy theory, but I feel like it all adds up. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments there. Geez, holy crap, folks. More super chats. Let's see. Sebastian Daoust with the $20. We want to vote now. Time's up. Amen, Sebastian. That's absolutely right. Joe Uber with the $10. Didn't know you were in the CAF. I was in for 7 years. Thanks for your service, man. Appreciate that. And thanks for the donation. Let's see next. We've got, Joe Uber then became a channel member. Hey, attaboy, man. Appreciate that. And then 50, Jesus, the pink ones, eh? Those are the big ones. No one around the world like Trudeau men from Sebastian. Did you guys see how Justin Trudeau sat at the Stephen Colbert interview? Wasn't that weird? Like, cross his legs. Like sometimes you'll see me do one of these here, and that's because I take my leg and I throw it under my other leg to create that box shape. But boxing my legs, like crisscrossing my legs, that's just that. The dudes box their legs, right? They do that shape like that with their leg, where if it's crossed, it's the ankle is on the kneecap, but you don't swing it over and crisscross. You know what I'm trying to say? There ain't room for that. All right. Donna Reinhardt with the $5. No message attached. Thank you, Donna, for that. I appreciate that. All right. Let's take a look at, guys, I want to take a look at some of the videos I got pulled up here. So let's slow down with the donos, huh? Okay. Samantha KL, first time super chat on the live stream, $10. Thank you so much, Samantha. I appreciate that. Okay. Now, if we can just pause that stuff for a moment here, and let's take a look at some of the footage that I have pulled up, some of the stuff I've got pulled up to entertain all of you, to get you prepared, get you psyched up for for the Stanley Cup of Canada politics here? Come on, folks. Come on. This is crazy. So we got the polls. You got Pierre Poilievre with 220 projected seats. If there was an election today, if there was an election yesterday, if there's an election tomorrow, you got Pierre, who is in a instrumental lead. We are about to see a conservative wave in Canada like we have never, ever seen before. You know, you got Stephen Colbert that's trying to push the rhetoric that Pierre is the Canadian, the Maple Trump. You've got mainstream media here in Canada trying to claim the same thing. It's just not true. And that's not to say, like, I've come out and said in the past, I like Trump just because maybe I'm younger and I know there's quite a bit of people that, how do I talk about age without offending anybody? Hey, that's the tricky one. I like the more bullheaded approach to politics, right? I not what Jagmeet does by threatening people, although it is quite interesting taking that approach. I do like the good debates and the really pressing and calling out other people's bullshit. I like that approach to politics. Trump does a good job. You may like him, you might not. It doesn't really matter. He's not Canadian, so it's irrelevant in terms of Canadian politics, right? But they try to throw mud at him and say that that Pierre is like a maple Trump, and it's just not true. Canada is still very progressive. Our Conservative Party is still a little bit maybe right of center, maybe a little bit left of center. It depends on what topics they're talking about, but nonetheless, Pierre's done a phenomenal job of scooping up like the majority of Canadians, and it might have started off as a big F Trudeau movement, right? The Freedom Convoy. You had Candice Bergeron, who was the interim Conservative Party leader, right? Because O'Toole, bye-bye. And then you had Candice step in as the interim, and then you needed somebody to take that spot. And Pierre did a good job because there was a lot of F Trudeau momentum at the time, and so he stepped into the spotlight. Some people thought the noodle hair Jean Charest was going to win. He didn't. He stuck to his main role in Ratatouille, and then Pierre took the spotlight and took the leader of the Conservative Party role. And ever since then, Pierre has really done a phenomenal job of, not to blow too much smoke up his butt here before we start question period, but he's done a phenomenal job of using the F Trudeau. Like, everyone was looking for that beacon of hope. Everyone was looking for, we don't like Trudeau, we don't like Jagmeet, we're not going to vote for the Bloc. That's just ridiculous. You're not going to have a provincial separatist party run the entire country. So who's next? And Pierre stepped into that spotlight, and ever since then, it's turned in from, we don't like Trudeau and we're going to pick somebody to vote for, to, holy crap, Pierre actually has really good policies and he can actually do a phenomenal job, as it seems right now, to fix this country. So he's done a great job of using this opportunity to rise to the top. And as you've seen right here, I mean, these polling numbers are just phenomenal. You have Justin Trudeau for the popular vote projection at 24. I think he's going to drop down to like maybe even 19, man. Like, it's really, really not looking good for Trudeau. You got the Bloc at 42 projected. You got the NDP at 50. Hold on a second here. I do this every time, not because I'm trying to belittle Jagmeet. It's just because my eyesight is so bad. Hey, chat. What's that little baby number there? Holy, I got to zoom in. I'm at 250%. 15 seats. I guarantee you, Jagmeet, I know you watch. It's not to belittle you. I promise I would not do that to you. 99% likely across the board for Conservatives, Pierre Poilievre, to win the most seats and odds of a majority government. So the polling is looking good. Whether there's an election today, in a week from now, whether there's an election in 13 months from now, in a few months, is looking really good no matter how you want to spin it for Pierre. Now let's take a look here at what exactly is going on. So Justin Trudeau, for those who don't know, look, some of this footage might look familiar. All right, I'm working. I got some dry bones here, man. Question period hasn't started. So we're going to go over a couple of pieces of footage that you may or may not have seen from yesterday. So just stick with me. All right, I'm doing my best, folks. You got Justin Trudeau giving a speech in New York in a park. looks like. I see some trees. And he's talking about what's happening today. He's talking about what's about to happen right now in an hour or 30 minutes from now, this vote in non-confidence.
President Biden in his address reflected on his decision this summer to take his name off the Democrats' ticket, telling leaders some things are more important than power and telling them to think about the people you serve. What is your takeaway when you're facing a non-confidence vote at home and the NDP pulled from the supply and confidence agreement?
Well, listen, obviously the Conservatives are very much thinking about power right now. I'm thinking about how we can best help Canadians. I'm thinking about how to put the best balance sheet in the G7 in service of Canadians, to invest in Canadians. Confident countries invest in their citizens. Right now, Pierre Poilievre is offering cuts.
Okay, so the biggest difference between Justin Trudeau in terms of policies, Justin Trudeau, his idea of investing in Canadians is saying, hey, look, you make money, I'm going to take a lot of that money and I'm going to invest it in you through social programs. You may or may not directly benefit from them, but I'm investing in you is a broad stroke term for I'm investing in Canadians. A brochure approach, a pamphlet approach saying, hey, this is the thing that we're doing, which is flawed on so many different levels. It doesn't apply to as many people as it should. It doesn't work the way it should. And it costs us billions of dollars. So Trudeau doesn't want you to take home a lot of your money. He wants to manage your money and say, look, give me your taxes. We'll take care of your teeth. All right. Oh, you have dental care for your work? Great. The next person can qualify for that. Pierre Poilievre's approach is saying less social programs. You make how much money? You make that much money? Phenomenal. Let's try and keep more of that money in your pocket so you can pay for your own stuff. And we're with the taxes that you do pay, we're gonna manage it under a microscope to make sure that we use every single dollar efficiently. I personally, it's like looking at let's see here. It's like looking at a crypto millionaire who spends money just ridiculously versus, you know, like a Jesus, like a 40 or 50-year-old dad who wears a shirt from Walmart, tucks it in his pants, puts his glasses up and says, all right, let's look at the budget here. We're spending too much stuff. You're buying coffee. Let's make coffee at home. And that's kind of Pierre's approach to the budget is let's really cut down. Let's trim the fat on all of our wasteful spending. And to be honest, Canada needs that. We also need that. I review my finances, my family's finances way too often. Like I'm obsessing over it, right? You know, we don't go to dinner as much as we would like, because it's just the economy. You can't do it, right? Maybe some people can. I mean, I feel like after all these super chats, I might actually be able to. So thank you very much. I'll address those in a minute. Holy smokes, man. You guys are giving me anxiety here. My heart rate's going up. Maybe it's the coffee. There's a lot of things to address. But Pierre's approach to money is something that Canada needs so desperately. We have to be looking at how we're spending all this money. The contractors that we're hiring to do these apps like the gun buyback program, $67 million is something that hasn't even worked. Imagine you hire somebody to do something in your backyard, like build a deck, and you pay them 20 grand. And it's like, okay, have you done it yet? And they say, no, not yet. Have you started? No, not yet. Have you bought the materials? No, not yet. What have you done with that 20 grand I paid you to build a deck? I planned. What do you mean you planned? Well, I did drawings, and I planned. For $20,000, I built the deck by planning it, and now it's going to cost a lot more money. That's kind of the approach that Justin Trudeau has. Is just this wasteful spending. That might have been a bad analogy. Look, if you're a contractor, it's not meant to offend you. I'm just trying to make a point that Trudeau has spent $67 million on a gun buyback program to set up infrastructure, software, portals online, whatever, that we don't even know. We don't even know what. It's just words, just words, right? We haven't actually seen anything. Oh, it's crazy. Jesus, it's crazy. Let's keep going here.
He's telling Canadians that the best way to get through these difficult times is to cut services and programs that Canadians rely on, to cut investments in technologies of the future, cut investments in jobs. Confident countries invest in themselves. And what we're seeing is countries around the world are investing in Canada. Companies around the world are investing in Canada in record numbers because they have confidence in Canadians. This government is investing in Canadians because we have confidence in Canadians' ability to get through this. It's just Pierre Poilievre that doesn't want to invest in Canadians, wants to cut the services, the programs, the investments that Canadians are going to rely on to build success into the coming years. And that's what I'm going to stay focused on.
Yeah. Again, it brings me back to that analogy of spending so much money, people's money on, and guising it under, look, we know what's best for you, so we're going to spend this money on your behalf, whether you want it or not, whether you consent for that or not. It's sadistic. It's disgusting. Okay. I need to take a break from looking at this video, and I absolutely am going to address some of the super chats right now. And when I do this, some of the viewers leave because they don't want to hear it. But hey, man, people have paid quite a bit of money here. So let's take a look. Where did I leave off? Stripes Overcheck with the $10 super chat. You don't get enough kudos for the work you do, bro. Thanks, man. You know, I don't really consider it work. It's just it's a passion of mine. I love to see what's happening with politics. I love to be informed, and if I can do that and build a community here and have some fun doing it and bring people together, because let's be honest, the country, Justin Trudeau single-handedly has tried to divide us and pin us all against each other. So the fact that we've found a place or multiple places, whether it's this channel, this community, or others, is a phenomenal and beautiful thing on its own. So thank you. I appreciate that. With the $10. Pretty sure Pierre knows the Bloc and NDP are going to vote against non-confidence, which he intends to use in his favor to sway votes away from the Bloc and NDP by exposing both parties' hypocrisy. Thank you for the $10. I appreciate that. Absolutely. Like 100%. This is what I'm saying. I hope the vote of non-confidence does get pushed through. I really do. I mean, we would all greatly benefit from an election right now. Like, I think we can all go to sleep once that happens and say, yes, this is the best sleep I've ever had. We're all looking forward to that. But again, the timing of everything, the strategy that Pierre brings to the table, it feels so strategic, yet nobody's talking about it. And it makes me feel a little bit like conspiratorial, but I'm glad to see that other people, such as yourself, with the $10 super chat, also agree on that. So thank you for that. Jim Smith, aka Cod Snapper, with the $6.99. Trudeau has to go, and what you do out of the way. He showed his true colors with the drag queens. Yeah. When he was in New York, he did spend a lot of time with drag queens. To all their own. Thank you for that. Theo with the $2.79. Do the party vote as well, or each MP vote? Each MP votes. So you might even see some liberals vote in favor of a vote of non-confidence. So every single MP goes around and does their vote. If they're not there, they do it electronically. It's gonna be insane. You're probably gonna see some people who you didn't think would vote. They're gonna vote in favor of the non-confidence, right? It's gonna be awesome. Whether it gets pushed forward or whether it exposes and shines a light on the hypocrisy and the rats in the House, like that also is pretty good, because that's gonna gain a lot more voters. It's gonna gain more support by exposing that. Yarvin in the house. Let's get this election. CAF member here as well. Former SIGs, now Canadian Ranger. This is awesome that you are former CAF with the $200 super chat. Bro, what? Yarvin, slow things down, buddy. Thank you. You also went off the rails yesterday. I appreciate that. That is crazy. Holy smokes. Thank you so much. Simon Steven with the $6.99. Pierre and Trump 2024. I think a lot of people are waiting and anticipating this crazy duo of Trump in America and Pierre in Canada. I personally 100% am on board with that. I feel like you're going to see a lot of peace talks. Trump is going to be saying no wars, no wars, no wars. The wars are done, right? However he does it. And that's going to be potentially something that Pierre has to get accustomed to, because Pierre does conservatives do support Ukraine quite a bit. In fact, they've actually been critical of how little the liberals have been spending and sending off to Ukraine, not to like put a damper in anyone's mood right now. But a lot of people, there are conservative voters and supporters, potentially even those that watch this channel, that do support Ukraine and support the government spending as much money as they do. I personally don't. I think that we should be, helping them. Yeah, within reason. Like, we've spent billions of dollars, and to the point where it's just like, hey, whoa, what's going on? And so it'll be interesting to see Pierre and Trump both in power, right? Should it go that way? All right. John Uber with the $100. Down with Trudeau. Holy smokes, dude. You became a channel member today and a couple super chats. Jeez. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Phoenix with the $13.99. I was just going to mention I applied for the infantry in 2019, but got declined. Sorry to hear that. But to be honest, you might have dodged a bullet. I was going to ask if it's even worth joining the CAF now. That's an opinion thing. To me, I don't have really any good things to say about the CAF. I'm not a super big fan, especially the direction that they've taken it. But that's up to you to decide, right? That's up to you to decide. Or maybe talking to people that are still in. Tino Brook with the $20. Thanks to Yarvin Darkel yesterday for the gifted membership. I wish to donate to your channel as well, Jasper. Lots of diapers for the little one. I appreciate that. That's awesome, man. Thank you. I appreciate that support, guys. All right. There are more. A lot more, but I want to keep looking at what's going on here. So we're going to revisit it. Don't worry. If you've donated, if you've given a super chat or a membership and I haven't seen your name, I've got it pulled up and I will get to it. But right now, we got to get back to the goodies here.
On the Colbert Show, speaking about the vote, you said you understand the Canadians are frustrated, but you're ready to keep fighting. Biden said there was also a lot more that he wanted to do, but in stepping down, he had to do what was right for Americans. Why is you being ready to fight the right direction?
I think the focus needs to remain on how we prepare and invest in Canadians for the challenging times ahead, the challenging world that we all live in that is impacted every day by geopolitical and global forces that impact on prices at the grocery store, that impact on prices at the pump, that impact on housing, impact on just about everything that Canadians are challenged with. And the need to step up with solutions, not slogans, to take seriously the challenges that Canadians are facing instead of amplifying them and causing more fear and division. Every politician has a choice about why they serve, of what they're trying to do, how they're trying to help. And my focus is very much, and always has been, on how to serve Canadians and build a better future. That's not what we're seeing from the Conservative Party.
This guy's nuts. What do you mean? You are the most divisive of divisiveness people that we've ever seen here in Canada, man. Holy smokes. I do want to say, chat, we've got 3,400 people here. Question period has not yet started. I see on my end, maybe it's different on your end, that there's 743 likes. If half the people in the room take time right now to smash that like button, we could potentially shoot over to 2,000, which would be phenomenal. So if you haven't yet already, I highly encourage you guys. It's a free way to support the channel and support the stream, to just tap that like button and subscribe if you haven't already done so. It would be a phenomenal way to support the channel. Now let's take a look here. We've got a video this morning from CBC right outside of Ottawa. It's raining, just like it is where I live. It's raining.
We are looking very briefly live at Ottawa because it's obscured by bad weather, obviously, in the nation's capital. But we do know that today MPs will vote on the Conservative motion of non-confidence, the first attempt by the official opposition to topple the minority
Let's go.
government. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre introduced that motion yesterday in the House and urged other parties to vote for it. But we already know the NDP and the Bloc will not support the motion. We do expect the Conservatives to introduce further confidence motions if this one fails. They have many opportunities, including one tomorrow where we expect a similar motion to be introduced. There's a lot to talk about in all of this, and we're going to do that in studio, no less.
Here I am.
In person. Chris Hall, our former national affairs editor, he's now in the private sector, a managing principal at Navigator, but watching the political scene very closely. It's great to have you here.
I'm glad to be here.
Come back anytime. We have lots of political things to talk about. You're not expecting any September surprise or anything, are you?
No, not a lot of drama in this one,
you
Heather.
think NDP and Bloc will indeed vote against this afternoon?
And, you know, interestingly enough, people are looking at this as a kind of a one-off, like, oh, a non-confidence motion, the first one. But as part of a longer-term strategy, yes, there will be another non-confidence motion worded differently tomorrow that will be debated. It's the second of the 5 days that the Conservatives get. And I thought was interesting yesterday was that Poilievre laid out the case to Canadians, maybe for the first time that people were watching in his entirety about what he would do if elected.
Yeah, very campaign style, wasn't it?
Absolutely, and what needs to change. But I'm not sure they expected the other opposition members, Yves-François Blanchet and Jagmeet Singh, to attack him specifically. So I think it's interesting to watch how that unfolds. The Bloc thinks they can get something from the government by negotiating over OAS, increasing the payments for people who are aged 65 to 74. The NDP wants pharmacare through, but you know these are things that can take some time. Chrystia Freeland said she is talking about these issues, but I wouldn't be in any hurry to make a decision. I'd wait at least until the fall economic statement before making a firm commitment.
Okay, let's talk about that in a little bit more detail. But just in terms of tomorrow, maybe worded differently, but the substance is same. The substance is essentially the same. The people of the House have lost confidence in the government. So again, tomorrow, regardless of what happens today, we'll get another non-confidence motion and another vote. And one would expect, in all of the 5 that the Conservatives had, they're going to do some variant on the wording of all this. What's the strategy there? Or Janice was mentioning, is it the law of diminishing returns every time they bring this forward?
They want to give Jagmeet Singh as many opportunities as possible to vote with the government, to put a kind of a lie, if I can put it that way, to the ripping up of the supply and confidence agreement that the NDP still will substantially support on major issues, will support the government no matter what. So that's the long-term goal. I don't think it also hurts from the Conservative point of view, and certainly that's what I was hearing from them yesterday, to see the Bloc Québécois, a separatist party, voting for a government that's led by a Trudeau, the son of the most famous federalist in this country. So they like some of the images.
Look, everything that's been said up until now is just talk. We don't know if they will vote in favor or against. They've been saying one thing, but this has also happened in the past where you have party leaders say one thing and do another. Sellout Singh is probably the most prime example of doing that. So even though Jagmeet and the Bloc have both said that they don't plan on voting, you never know. That just could be them trying to stand their ground for more clicks and views, maybe a little bit more hype. But again, you never know. That's why this is so interesting.
Around that, how they work or how long that lasts, we'll have to wait and see. But for now, I think they're happy with the way they are trying to present the opposition parties, their colleagues on the opposition benches, as really supportive of the federal government.
What are you seeing so far in this new reality with no supply and confidence agreement from Yves-François Blanchet? Because he has pushed for more for seniors' benefits, and we heard Chrystia Freeland yesterday in that economic update saying, you know, talking as you say, but he wants it extended even more, and there's a party has a private member's bill before the House right now. How do you see him positioning himself, and to what end?
He remember 2 years or 3 years ago, 2021, when he was elected, he said the goal of the Bloc was to represent the will of the National Assembly in Quebec. That was when François Legault, the premier, was riding high in the polls. Not so popular now, and suddenly Blanchet and the Bloc are their own masters of their own destiny. So, yes, I think he can probably get something on the OAS, the changes we talked about from 65 to 74. It'll cost $16 billion, and we know the government is pretty much A, tapped out, and two, that kind of spending tends to be inflationary, and we just wrestled.
Economists don't really like that.
They don't like it at all. So I think that they believe they can get supply management. There's also a bill in the Senate right now which make that immune or exempt from any future trade deals, from having any changes made to it. And obviously they think that temporary foreign workers and other immigration policies should be really left in the hands of the provincial government. Conservatives are far more likely to do that. They're the ones that believe in having the provinces with real powers, with less federal intrusion. But as it stands right now, the only people who seem to be talking are the Liberals, the Bloc, and the NDP. The Conservatives are happy to go it alone.
I want to talk about the dynamic,
right.
Conservative and NDP notably, as you said, with some of this, the Conservatives trying to force Jagmeet Singh's hand and to vote with the government despite tearing up.
So yesterday in question period, and actually this entire week, you've had the Liberals attack Jagmeet for basically tearing up the deal, because that's what Pierre said he should do, and then Jagmeet did it. So now there's this ongoing rhetoric of who's controlling the NDP, because the Liberals say one thing, Jagmeet either does it or he doesn't, and then Pierre Poilievre says one thing, and Jagmeet either does it or he doesn't. So ipso de facto, just because they've said it first and then Jagmeet ends up doing one of those things, there's this ongoing rhetoric that he is following orders from one of the parties. And so it's going to be a crazy zoo today. Like the House Speaker is likely going to try to mute the microphone. Now, on a very popular stream earlier this week, I think it was the first day back, I think it was on Monday, I threw a bit of a tantrum. I started freaking screaming and going off. And look, I try to not do that. But again, we're watching this live, and I drink a lot of coffee, and I love this. And so it's hard for me to hold back those emotions. I will do my best today. Okay. You have that guarantee of I will do my best. But the House Speaker does this nasty thing where he mutes the microphone. And I think today, like we saw yesterday, he did not mute the microphone. He did not mute the microphone. Instead, he stood there very angrily, probably knowing that we were streaming this with over 4,000 live people. And he stood there going, shush. He shushed a room full of adults wearing suits and ties that represent this country on the national and global stage. Absolutely insane. So I think that we're going to see something similar again, where he's going to hold back that restraint and just and let it go loose, right? And just try to shush people, because there's so much built up tension in the House right now. And just one final video here. Look, the House is not ready. They've got the stream prepped, but it's just a green screen. So they are filling their way into the House of Commons right now. But we're going to take a look at this one last video here before hopefully it's in time for when the stream. I've got the stream pulled up on my phone, so don't worry. No one's missing nothing. If you're wondering in the chat, some people are saying, why do you have question period pulled up yet? It's not ready. It's not ready. The stream is not there yet. All right. So everybody just take a deep breath and let's watch this video.
Quadruple the carbon tax, which will grind our economy to a halt. It will be a nuclear winter for our economy. Why don't we allow Canadians to vote in a carbon tax election to decide if they're ready to axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, and stop the crime?
They're going to cut the dental. They're going to axe the pharmacare. They're going to break the health system, and they're going to destroy childcare. The difference between those slogans and the nonsense he throws around, the vacuous garbage that's best left for Nabisco, not for the House of Commons, is that's the stuff he's actually going to do.
Pierre Poilievre and the Conservative Party say they're pushing to give Canadians a carbon tax election as soon as possible through a vote of non-confidence in the government set to happen tomorrow in the House of Commons. But the Liberals aren't backing down on the pollution pricing system that's become a key piece of their climate plan. Our front bench is back to break down the political strategy. Zita Astravas, James Moore, Tom Mulcair, and Marika Welsh. Marika, I'll start with you. I imagine tomorrow at this time the House of Commons will, for all intents and purposes, look exactly the same as it does this afternoon. We know that because the Bloc and the NDP have already identified that they're going to vote against the Conservatives and with the government. But what do you think the cumulative effect of the last week, the introduction of what this motion will say, the actual motion, the debate today, like what has been the effect, do you think, overall in the parties?
I think the effect is to make the Liberals more confident in their standing in the House this fall. They have two dance partners, two negotiating partners with the NDP and the Bloc. The Bloc are much more clear in public about what they want and what the price tag is, although unclear on how soon they want that before all the confidence votes run out. Who knows when they schedule them all. And the NDP are kind of giving different messaging on the day. Peter Julian was suggesting that his support for the government was tied to the farm.
All right, folks.
Show over the weekend.
All right, folks. It's time. The front bench, nobody cares. Sorry. That was just to fill the gap a little bit here. We have question period about to begin. All right? They're about to begin. So I want to encourage everyone right now, if you haven't yet already, smash that like button. All right? We've got 1,400 likes on the stream right now. We have just about 4,000 viewers. All right? Let's take this time right now, smash that like button and subscribe. We could potentially cross 114,000 subscribers today while this is happening. And so let's try and keep it going. I'm going to keep it muted right now because they are singing "O Canada." Never mind. They just finished. All right. Here we go.
Statements by members, déclaration de députés.
I'm going to read off some of the super chats while they do the statements by members, though. That's the compromise. A lot of us don't really care about what these people have to say right now. Selly TV with a $10 super chat. Thank you so much. Looks like that's your first super chat. Teresa with the channel membership. Thank you. Chantarelle with the $10 sticker. Thank you very much. And Keith, we have MAGA. Let's make Canada great again with a $1.99 super chat. Thank you very much. Jim Smith with a $1.39 with the angry huffy puffy emoji. Thank you. The Okanagan King with the $10. Let's go Conservatives. Bring it home. Thank you very much.
Congratulations to head coach Christian Hall, Commodore
Matt the Electrician
board coaches, athletes, parents, and supporters.
with the $2.79 money for more coffee. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate that. I make the coffee at home, but I'll spend that money on diapers. Is that fair?
Thank you.
Teresa with the $5. Thank you for streaming. Hey, my pleasure. My pleasure.
Serves as a reminder of the importance of keeping our railways and our train yards safe.
Angela with the $1. 100%. Thank you very much for that.
Going forward. To our railway workers.
Steffi with the $1.49. A rainbow. It's a magical day. What can I say? Thank you.
The work you do every day does not go unnoticed. Every year, 375 million tons of freight move across our rails. Millions of passengers are taken safely to their destination. Conservatives will always be there to stand up for our rail workers because you're always there to protect the safety of Canadians. Thank you for keeping Canadians moving.
Talia with the $5. As a trans MTF Canadian, first-time voter, I'm not voting for the Line NDP nor the Wacko Liberals. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate that.
Celebrating its 50th
A lot of first-time voters, eh? A lot of first-time voters.
Patients, parents, community members, and leading physicians created an organization.
OTC, Pierre on Solana, holders support you. Thank you.
Since then, its mission has been to ensure Canadians living with asthma enjoy a symptom-free.
Sally, welcome to the membership program. I appreciate that.
Canadians live with asthma. I am one of them. Asthma attacks lead to approximately 70,000
Mr. Devilish with the $5. What's good, Mr. Sunshine? Respect from Cambridge, Ontario.
As the former president and CEO of Asthma Canada, I saw the hard work.
Shout out to all those in Ontario.
Nurses,
thank you for that.
Educators, administrators, and volunteers striving to.
Ryan Moore with the $5. Will you be doing a reaction to the American election? Yeah, I believe I will. I did the last debate. We're going to do the next debate, I think, as well. Almont Gaming with the $2. I can't wait till they vote non-confidence. Hey, chat, put some W's down. Put some W's downstairs in the chat box for voting on confidence, eh? Let's get that going today.
A bookstore in my riding. It's owned by a
Shauna, please like, share, and subscribe to help out our friend Jasper with the $10.
History,
holy smokes! Thank you, Shauna. You used your chat on the message to shout me out even more. Thank you.
And he helps everyone in the
I appreciate that.
Division. He is brimming with enthusiasm.
Mighty B with a $10. Seriousness, not slogans. Says the biggest joke in the country. What I know, eh? That's so funny.
Bookstore has won this award.
The Liberals are all just a bunch of brochure promises.
In my writing, Denis Laferrière said that oxygen is necessary.
Jean with the $20, no message attached. Thank you very much for that.
Is oxygen for the soul. Congratulations.
Birdie Cracker with the $2.
Mr. Speaker,
Kicks South Ontario corridor out of Canada. Fixed it. Sorry. Thank you for that.
This event to mark National Day.
It looks like you did it twice. I don't know if you meant to do that.
First was an opportunity to highlight and be grateful to
Vinetti, welcome to the channel membership.
In our communities.
Mr. Devilish, also a new member. Thank you.
We brought the retirement age back down to 65 years after the
Amanda George, the vote will be good today. I can feel it. Amanda, speaking the truth.
Thanks to thousands of seniors.
That's what we're all feeling. I'm telling you, it feels different today. It feels different. Thank you, Amanda.
By 10
Carol with the $10 and with the attached thank you super chat
committed towards senior
message, whatever those are called, super sticker.
Poverty, that means thousands of lives have been improved by
John Harvey with the $10 super sticker. Thank you.
Wise and very active.
I appreciate that.
Seniors.
Shauna again with the $5. Keep it up. Thank you, Shauna.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As always, I want to thank the constituents of my beautiful riding of Niagara West for the honor to be able to choose and represent their voice in Parliament. I'd also like to recognize the parents, teachers, and students from Heritage Christian School who are in Ottawa today. And I spoke with many of my constituents.
Betty Ann with the $6.99. Fingers crossed. Let's get an election on. I'm ready. Thank you for that, Betty.
These are some.
We're all anticipating it.
Skyrocketing prices of basic items like food and other groceries. Folks mentioned the price of gas. It keeps going up and up and up. And in my riding, a car is a necessity, not a luxury. They said taxes were making it impossible to pay the bills. The carbon tax, everyone wanted this horrible tax scheme scrapped. People were worried about paying for housing, which has doubled over the last 9 years. They mentioned the rising levels of crime, car thefts, and drug addiction. They want an election where they can choose a strong majority conservative government that will axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, and stop the crime.
Yeah. Let's go. Eh? Let's go.
The honourable member for Lac Saint Louis.
I said I wouldn't yell, and here I am.
And
30 seconds later yelling, for crying out loud. I'm sorry.
To impart knowledge and insights to his students.
Rap B with the $2, an Indian guy from Brampton. Thank you for your work. Hey, man. Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Campaign volunteer. And
then Look at some Morse code again, $10.
And myself. Dennis,
I want to say now it's the time to remove ourselves from corruption in BC.
Was a leader in Point Claire
because there is a BC election coming up. Thank you for that.
Quebec's municipal demerger referendum in 2004. He then served 3 terms as a highly regarded Point Claire city councillor. After retiring,
Oliver St. Onge with $20, first-time super chatter.
Among other things, acting as a sounding board.
Long-time viewer. Love your content. Keep up the good work. Let's get this clown out of office. Thank you, Oliver. I appreciate that.
Believed in education and the politics of reason as fundamental to
Hank the Hill to $2. Love from Pembroke, Ontario. Quite a few from Ontario today, eh?
Our deepest condolences.
Thank you, Hank.
The Honourable Member for Orleans. Mr. Speaker,
Cody Sutherland, $2. Can't wait for the $900 gas bills.
Francophiles of Ontario.
Cody, you're supposed to be on a heat pump. We all know this by now.
This is a day where we are proud to celebrate our Francophone heritage. We are a strong community. We're united by our love of the French language and our desire for
Ohana Tribe, $2. Let's go. Pierre for PM. Thank you, Ohana. I appreciate that.
Orleans, we are
Canada Freedom, $10. My message to Stephen C. You introduced our PM as a former teacher and amateur boxer.
The Francophone community of Ottawa, and
but you did not mention his career in blackface.
Was announced. There will be a new MIFO center built, so it will really thrive. I'd also like to pay tribute to
$2. Thank you.
Orleans Francophone, Denis Gagnon. He passed away on September 12th.
GT71 with the 5. Thank you.
In our community, he inspired us with his monthly columns in the Orléanais publication. Happy Franco-Ontarian Day. The Honourable Member for Lévis-Lapinière. Mr. Speaker.
No, not Happy Franco-Ontario Day. Happy Vote and Non-Confidence Day, huh, chat?
No longer have confidence in this Prime Minister or in this government. The NDP kept this government alive on a respirator for months. Now the Bloc
Thank you, Joel, for the $1.49 with a hot dog attached to it. Hey, man, that's the exact price of a Costco hot dog. Thank you.
The Bloc Québécois must be totally desperate or
thank you, Amanda, for the $2.79.
Slightest about Quebecers.
Thank you, Jenny, for the $10 of a channel.
Prime Minister who's so centralizing and costly.
Keeping Canadians informed. Thank you.
Prime Minister in power, even though he's constantly overstepping and meddling with provincial jurisdiction.
Tango Delta, $3. Thanks.
Going to
appreciate that.
1,400 forestry jobs through its decree. The only party working to save the forestry sector is the Conservative Party. The Bloc Québécois, they're terrible negotiators. They're ready to sell their souls rather than give Quebecers the country that they deserve.
Indian guy from
the USA. Vote to axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, and stop the crime.
The Honourable Member from Whitby.
Mr. Speaker, today I rise to celebrate
Steffi with the $2.
Jen Wells,
watching from oil and gas.
Tackling one of today's biggest challenges, which is loneliness. As social beings, we thrive on human connection, but in a world where much of our interaction has
Smiley with $2.79. Let's go. Sending support from Manitoba.
Jen Wells' efforts highlight the alarming reality, which is
Steffi with the $6.99. Pierre for PM. Thank you very much for that.
The World Health Organization even recognizes loneliness as a global public health concern with impacts as harmful as smoking. I commend Jen Well for their work.
Stop donating. I can't hear the MPs, no doubt. Sorry.
Support their mission of fostering human connection. I hope to see you all there.
All right, folks. I'm going to say this like I said it yesterday.
The Honourable
Wow question period is on. Like wow, once it starts,
Liberals, taxes are
I'm not going to be reading out anything.
And time's up. Under the Liberal government, repeat violent offenders are getting bail and parole, and justice for victims is being ignored. In fact, 256 people were killed in 2022 by criminals out on bail or another form of release. That's 256 people that could still be alive today if not for this broken Liberal bail system. And just last month, a serial rapist was granted day parole only 4 years after he was convicted of sexually assaulting 5 women while working as a nightclub promoter. Is it any wonder that sexual assaults are up 75%, Mr. Speaker, over the past 9 years? And yet the NDP continues to prop up the Liberals and their soft on crime agenda. They continue to enable putting criminals before victims. But today they can do the right thing and vote non-confidence in this Liberal government. Only a Conservative government will deliver justice for Canadians and bring home safe streets.
Let's go! Welcome back, Raquel! Let's throw some W's down there for her, eh?
From Kamloops, Thompson Caribou.
Mr. Speaker, after 9 years of this NDP Liberal government, taxes are up, costs are up, crime is up, and time is up. Canadians won an election to decide the direction of this country and the future of the carbon tax. It seems that the NDP's leader's pension is worth more to him than the hundreds of thousands of jobs that will be lost due to the quadrupling of this carbon tax. Even the radical NDP premier from BC has flip-flopped on the carbon tax, but not the leader of the federal NDP. He would rather be frenemies with the Prime Minister. Meanwhile, Canadians line up at food banks. The NDP can pull out of its costly coalition with the Prime Minister and vote in favor of our non-confidence motion, trigger a carbon tax election. Today, on behalf of all Canadians, there's a chance to bring down this costly government. Will the NDP leader have the guts to give Canadians the elections they deserve?
There you go, there you go, there you go.
The honourable member from Brampton Centre.
All right, I don't care what this guy has to say. Here's the deal, chat. Here's the deal. Hold me accountable to this. If the House Speaker mutes the microphone again today, on the day that has been announced and predetermined to be a vote of non-confidence day, I am filing a petition to have him removed under the terms of discriminatory. I am visually impaired, and anyone else who is visually impaired needs to be able to see what happens with their ears, and muting that microphone is putting a blindfold on people. This is why every single time I look at the polls, I have to zoom in on the insurmountably tiny, teeny tiny amount of seats that Jagmeet has, because it's such a tiny number. I have to zoom in with my keyboard to 300%. So if the House Speaker mutes the mic, I am officially launching a petition to have him removed. It's discrimination for everybody who is visually impaired.
The honourable member from Winnipeg Centre.
Mr. Speaker, today members of Parliament will vote on Bill C-223 for a guaranteed livable basic income in Canada. While the affordability crisis is hurting all people, those who depend on a deteriorating social safety net are hit the hardest. That includes women and gender diverse people fleeing violence, stuck in abuse because they lack the financial resources to leave. The reason for Call to Justice 4.5 of the National Inquiry into Murdered and Missing Indigenous Women and Girls to put in place a guaranteed livable basic income, something that every single member of Parliament in this House admitted to or committed to implement. Also, many senior women who do not have pensions because they spent their lives caring for families who live in poverty, while the many people in the disability community are subjected to legislative poverty due to insufficient programs like the Canada Disability Benefit. MPs need to ensure our constituents are provided with a level of financial support to uphold their charter rights. I urge all my colleagues to do so by voting in favour of the bill and stop punching down on people in the
The honourable member for Salaberry-sur-Roi. On July 17th of this year, Quebec lost an incredible unionist, feminist, sovereignist, and progressive, Régent Parent. On behalf of the Bloc Québécois,
all right, I've got a moment here. Let's see.
My sincerest condolences.
Sean Scott of the 279, checking in from Brantford, Pierre for PM. Jim Smith, my area in Southern Ontario. Just had the Burley election.
Unionist, he championed the cause.
Awesome. Thank you for the support, guys. Thank you for the super chats.
The Syndicat
Daryl Struth with the $5. Jagmeet will show he lies like a sidewalk. Gregory with the $27.99.
Wanted to take
Go Pierre Poilievre.
Some of whom are
W.
Today.
Patriot with the $10. I want Trudeau gone.
Progressive and a sovereign.
I appreciate that.
Fought for the future of a Quebec based on social justice.
Kyler with the $2. I appreciate that. Shauna again with the $10.
Parti Québécois. On June
what about the NDA for the girl at West Point Grey? Hey, man.
Column.
That keeps resurfacing. Chris with the $5. Thank you. Mike Jackson with the $2. I will sign it. Yes.
Live a free Quebec.
Hank the Hill.
Régent Parent, the Bloc Québécois thanks you.
Bro, if it passes, Brad will be $10.
The honourable member for Miramichi, Grand Lake.
West with the $10. I suspect what would happen under a Trudeau government in high school.
Misery. Taxes are up. Costs are up. Crime is up.
And time is up.
2 years ago, the NDP leader sold out workers. He signed on his costly coalition with the Liberal Prime Minister that hiked taxes, ballooned food costs, doubled housing costs, and unleashed crime and chaos in our streets. The sellout NDP leader voted to quadruple the carbon tax, a plan that will grind our economy.
Whoa.
I'm going to invite the honourable member.
We just got word that House of Canada
SO 31 again. I know
is going to launch a petition against me.
But I'd like to remind the honourable member to ensure that the language which is used is not directed to a particular member in a way that would not be parliamentary.
Oh, come on. Wes for the 10, thank you. Charles for the 5, thank you. And Deborah for the 279, thank you.
Lake from the top.
Mr. Speaker, after 9 years of this NDP Liberal-imposed misery, taxes are up, costs are up, crime is up, and time is up. 2 years ago, the NDP leader sold out workers. He signed on to his costly coalition with the Liberal Prime Minister that hiked taxes, ballooned food costs, doubled housing costs, and unleashed crime and chaos right in our streets. The sellout NDP leader voted to quadruple the carbon tax.
He's doing it again. Come on. We're almost at 2,000 likes, everyone. Take the time now to smash it and subscribe if you haven't yet already. We're about to begin the most intense session of question period we have ever seen.
The honourable member to continue his statement following, if you could just start a paragraph before, I'll give him 25 seconds to finish his statement.
Canadians need a carbon tax election now to decide between this costly NDP Liberal coalition or common sense Conservatives who will axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, and stop the crime. It's time for this NDP leader to support our non-confidence motion today or admit that he sold out, thrown in the towel, and caved once again.
Sellout sing. Yeah. Look at the Conservatives all standing up. Huh? They're ready. I hope you're ready, because I'm ready.
So all members, I just want to make sure that we understand it's important for us to be judicious in the use of our words, especially in regard to each one of us who serve here. It is important that we may have our disagreements, but in regarding a specific person, we need to be very judicious in our comments because we are all colleagues. The honourable member from Ottawa West Nepean.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today I'm wearing a forget-me-not pin to recognize World Alzheimer's Month and to stand with the more than 700,000 Canadians living with dementia, a number projected to rise to 1.7 million by 2050. Dementia costs Canadians over $10 billion annually, but the personal toll on individuals and their families is immeasurable. In 2017, this House unanimously supported the National Dementia Strategy, and it remains vital that we continue to work to address this growing challenge. I want to thank the Alzheimer's Society of Canada for the essential work that they do in helping families in our communities and funding research for a cure. I am joined today by colleagues from all parties wearing forget-me-not pins.
Who else is nervous?
I wear mine for my OMA. Together, we can work toward a future where Alzheimer's and dementia are diseases of the past. Thank you.
Very good.
Here we go. Questions. Oral questions. Questions. Honourable Leader of the Opposition, soon to be next Prime Minister of Canada, Pierre Poilievre.
The Bloc is voting to keep the Liberal government in power, the most centralizing government in the history of our country. They added 100,000 public servants. They have doubled consulting costs, doubled debt, and the cost of housing. Is it not time to allow Quebecers to vote to cut their taxes, build homes, fix the budget, and stop the crime with a common sense government?
Yeah, buddy! Put some W's down there.
Prime Minister, Mr. Speaker, the Conservative leader is offering cuts for programs, cuts for services, cuts in the fight against climate change, all the things that concern Quebecers and all Canadians. They have nothing to offer but austerity and performances here at the House of Commons. They're continued to cut programs like dental care, daycare spots, an investment in pharmacare, an investment to grow our economy with green investments. We are going to invest in Canadians and Quebecers, and they're just there to cut. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition. People who are poor are already seeing austerity because of cuts to their budget. they still don't have the means to buy a house, they say. And this dream just gets further and further away for some, because the crisis just makes housing prices worse, and everything else becomes excessively expensive. In Montreal, when I was housing minister, it cost $500 a month for an apartment. Is it not time to allow Quebecers to elect a government that will build homes?
The biggest cuts are going to be how many Liberal seats are there?
Mr. Speaker, if this Conservative leader is so really concerned with single mothers, he wouldn't have voted against more daycare spots or voted against help for children with CCB. He would not have voted against investment that we're making to create more economic growth for these children and to put more money back in their pockets. But when he was housing minister under Harper, he did nothing for affordable housing across our country, and that's not what we want to be repeated again. Thank you.
There we go.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
After 9 years of the NDP Liberals, taxes up, costs up, crimes up,
time's up.
Today, we'll vote to trigger a carbon tax election between the costly carbon tax coalition of NDP Liberals who tax your food, punish your work, double your housing cost, and unleash crime and chaos, or common sense Conservatives who will axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget,
and stop the crime.
Why can't we bring it home today?
Yeah, buddy! Look at the enthusiasm, man.
Mr. Speaker, again, with the clever little performance of slogans he's memorized without any actual solutions for Canadians. He doesn't care about Canadians. He cares about his own political self-interest. If he cared about Canadians, he wouldn't have voted against dental care. He wouldn't have voted against more spaces at $10 a day childcare. He wouldn't have voted against initiatives that are growing the economy, putting more money in people's pockets. He wants a climate change election. Let's have that election in the right time where we're putting more money in the pockets of Canadians. This is not the time for that. We're going to continue to deliver for Canadians.
Wow. Look at the fake enthusiasm. Look at the Conservatives. It's a zoo. Don't mute the microphone, you son of a gun. Don't you dare mute it. Let it happen. Let it happen, Fergus. This is democracy. He didn't mute the mic. He didn't mute the mic. I appreciate that.
Leader of the Opposition.
Well, he just said he wants a carbon tax election on his plan to quadruple the tax to 61 cents a litre. If so, will he call it today?
Yes. Look at that. You can't beat the Conservative enthusiasm down on the floor. It's just not going to happen.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I believe this on today we will see that this House does not have confidence in the leader of the Conservative Party.
I hope he eats those words.
We have delivered, are continuing to deliver, reduced emissions, more money in the pockets of Canadians, and success in the fight against climate change as we create jobs and build a stronger future. We are focused on delivering for Canadians the things that actually matter, while he's focused on slogans and clapping. Mr. Speaker, we're going to focus on being there for Canadians.
As they clap, like two of them stand up. Oh my goodness.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, he's concerned that we're clapping for him. He agreed to a carbon tax election on his quadrupling of the tax to 61 cents a litre, where Canadians will choose between an NDP Liberal government that has taxed their food, punished their work, doubled their housing costs, and unleashed crime and chaos in their communities, or a common sense Conservative government to axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, and stop the crime. He's bragging that he has more politicians on his side. Isn't it really the case that in Canada, the people decide?
Wow! W's for Pierre. The people want it. The people have spoken.
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, with the Canada carbon rebate, the price on pollution puts more...
No, it doesn't, dude.
8 out of 10 Canadians right across the country. But we already know from his misunderstanding of carbon pricing that the Conservative leader doesn't understand math or economics. What's increasingly clear is he doesn't understand science as well. That's why I'd be happy to give him a briefing on the science of climate change. And good news on this one, it doesn't require a security clearance for it.
Holy crap. He's got some pokes. He's got some jokes. That was fair game.
Order, please.
That was... Okay, shh. Way better than muting the mic.
Member for Belleuil-Chambly. Mr. Speaker, the Bloc announced a good faith proposal that was reasonable about topics that have already obtained the support of all parties in this House. I would like to know from the Prime Minister if he can give us his word that he will quickly consider the Bloc's proposal to benefit seniors and farmers. The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker.
Don't worry, folks. The English is coming back.
Many times.
Pierre and Trudeau is coming back, so stick around. Don't worry.
For seniors and protection of supply management. We have shown this and will continue to do so. We'll continue to work with other members of this House to deliver for seniors and to deliver for our farmers. We know that there are concerns that we can work together on, and we're going to do so because we're always here to help Quebecers and all Canadians in these difficult times. The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly. Well, here we go. This is a good opportunity. Seniors for whom he cut their purchasing power, and farmers, not only in Quebec and in Canada, we need to be more specific in terms of the intentions. Will the Prime Minister start a conversation with his sometime partner in the NDP so that we can have this project come to fruition in the timeline set out? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, we are obviously going to look at this and debate this bill, but if we want to be specific, I'd like to underscore that many seniors in Quebec and elsewhere in the country that I've spoken with this summer said that they saved hundreds of dollars with visits to the dentists that were covered by the Canadian Dental Care Program. And unfortunately, they don't understand why the Bloc is opposed to this care for seniors in Quebec. It saved them hundreds of dollars, and we'll always be here to save seniors money.
The Honourable Member from Burnaby South. Privatizing healthcare means telling people
today's the day, buddy,
or go to the back of the line.
Call it.
Daniel Smith is privatizing healthcare in Alberta right now, and this Prime Minister is doing nothing about it. Doug Ford is privatizing healthcare in Ontario, and the Prime Minister praises him. Why is this weak Prime Minister letting Conservatives tear down our healthcare system?
I see that the Prime Minister is rising on his feet. The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, on this side of the House, we have always defended universal health care, and we will continue to do. But the member opposite has a point. In those provinces, the NDP was unable to stop Conservatives from getting elected and weakening universal health care in all those places. That is why we are going to continue to stand up for universal health care, to stand up for progressive values, and indeed, to stand up to Conservatives.
The enthusiasm. They're looking at their phones in the front.
Member for Burnaby South.
Oh my goodness.
To stop them, but it's too weak to do it.
Conservatives want to cut health care services. It's clear. When the Conservative leader and Stephen Harper were in power, they cut roughly $43 billion in health care. The Conservatives want to privatize our health care system, like Doug Ford and Daniel
Fun
Smith.
fact, this is the first day
the Prime Minister allowing
that Justin Trudeau and Jagmeet Singh have been in the same room since
Speaker,
Parliament has
the
resumed.
honourable member knows full well that we're always here to defend our public healthcare system. We are here to invest so that Canadians can have greater access to family doctors. We're here to ensure that there are more mental health services. We're here to require greater accountability and transparency from provinces in terms of the record money we're sending them, and we'll always be standing up to the Conservative provinces that want to cut our healthcare services. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Prime Minister that's cutting health care. His carbon tax will cost hospitals across this country in heat, in laundry services, in delivering medical equipment. Calculations by the Saskatchewan government show that the carbon tax will cost $175 million, equal to the loss of 1,900 nurses, all to pay the Prime Minister's greedy quadrupling carbon tax. Why won't he get his hands out of the pockets of the provinces and allow our premiers to fund health care?
Wow.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
The Canada carbon rebate puts more money in the pockets of 8 out of 10 Canadian families right across the country, while it fights climate change, while it creates growth. Mr. Speaker, fighting climate change is about building a better future for Canadians. This summer alone, insurers are estimating that $7.7 billion in losses are being covered for that. That is something that we have to step up on right now. And the Conservative leader, who doesn't even believe climate change is real, wants to do absolutely nothing about it. That's not good for Canadians. That's not good for our economy.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Hospitals don't get the Canada carbon rebate. A measly little check would not replace the $175 million that Saskatchewan hospitals are going to lose to heat themselves, to power their machinery, to deliver their goods. And yet, that's what the Prime Minister imposes. 1,900 nurses could lose their jobs in one province alone because of his greedy carbon tax quadrupling. Why won't he accept our common sense plan to axe the tax and boost funds for health care?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I will note that he voted against our plan to increase funding on health care to $200 billion over the next 10 years because he wants a two-tier system like most Conservative premiers in this country.
Yeah.
Climate change will cost
two-tier system. Make it private healthcare system.
Growth.
Throw it in there.
In harm to our economy, in harm to our future. He has no plan to fight climate change. Our plan not only fights climate change, it makes emissions lower, puts more growth on the books, and puts more money in the pockets out of 8 out of 10 Canadians, the middle class, and those working hard to join us.
So how much money do we need from the carbon tax to stop floods and to stop forest fires?
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
More disinformation from a flailing and desperate Prime Minister clinging to power. I voted in this Parliament to increase health funding, and in the previous government voted to increase it by 70%, more than his government had. More than that, we did not impose a carbon tax on hospitals. He claims that people are going to get checks. 1,900 nurses could lose their jobs because of the carbon tax in one province alone. A phony rebate check will not make the difference. Now he wants to quadruple the tax to 61 cents a litre. How many nurses are going to lose their jobs while hospitals are stuck paying this quadrupling tax?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, He refers to the Canada carbon rebate as a phony check. At least he recognizes that it exists, which is new from just a few months ago. The Canada carbon rebate, as defined by, investigated by the Parliamentary Budget Officer, puts more money, hundreds of dollars, back in the pockets of 8 out of 10 Canadians.
But it doesn't.
The middle class and those working hard to join it who need support while we fight climate change, while we reduce emissions, while we grow a stronger economy with good jobs for future generations. He has no plan for the economy, no plan for the future.
So when is the climate going to be fixed?
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
How much money?
My common sense plan is to axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, and stop the crime. But let's talk about education. The carbon tax will cost Saskatchewan schools $204 million. That's the equivalent of approximately 2,000 teachers losing their jobs, all to pay tax to heat schools in cold Saskatchewan winters. Why is the Prime Minister forcing provinces to cut teachers and education to pay for his greedy, quadrupling carbon tax?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
He goes once again with his little performances, Mr. Speaker, the little rhymes and slogans. The reality...
Performances when he was just on the late night show? Are you kidding me?
Including in Saskatchewan is wildfires, droughts, floods, issues that are being increased because of the impacts of climate change. And if we do not continue to take ambitious action, future generations will pay dearly for inaction by governments like the government in Saskatchewan that he wants to emulate. The reality is, Mr. Speaker, we put more money in people's pockets while fighting climate change, and we're going to keep doing that.
Honourable Leader of the
Here comes the smackdown.
Speaker, screaming and hollering will not distract from the very serious question I asked.
Uno reverse card.
How many nurses and how many teachers will lose their jobs because his greedy carbon tax quadrupling will drive up costs to heat schools and hospitals? How many?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, teachers and nurses across the country are terrified of conservative policies that cut programs, that cut services, that cut supports for the most vulnerable, for those who work hard to care for other Canadians, whether it's their opposition to pharmacare, which would be delivering free insulin and free prescription contraceptives, whether it's investing in a school food program going to help 400,000 kids with more food right across the country. That leader has opposed the things that nurses and teachers care most about. So let's not take any lessons from that guy.
Wow. He's triggered.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
He goes from screaming and waving his arms around erratically when I mention the carbon tax to bragging about a program that doesn't even exist. His multi-million-dollar school food program hasn't served a single ham sandwich, a single little bowl of Kraft dinner, not one meal to one child. It exists to feed bureaucracy in Ottawa, not kids in schools. So once again, put aside the grand dramatic performances and answer the question. How many doctors, nurses, and teachers will lose their jobs because of the quadrupling carbon tax?
Let's go! Parents should be feeding their kids, not the government.
I think it'd be instructive to look at how many doctors and teachers have lost their jobs because of conservative governments over the past number of decades. And that's exactly what this leader is proposing once again. I will tell you, Mr. Speaker, because I once had a job as a teacher, and I was proud of serving kids every day.
Oh, no, don't bring that up. Oh, no, don't bring that up. Hey, he's not muting the mic. He's not muting the mic. He's shushing. Let's go, Greg Fergus. I can get behind that.
The Honourable Prime Minister, 15 seconds left on the clock.
Yes, I was proud to be a school teacher, Mr. Speaker.
Why did you leave early, Trudeau?
Back to the lives of thousands of kids over the course of my career. And I'm proud to bring their voice.
Who signed the NDAs?
And continue to put forward how we support our kids, how we support the vulnerable, as opposed to the cuts that they propose.
That's right.
Who signed the NDA? I am 100% getting behind the shishing. I way prefer it.
The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly. Mr. Speaker, it's not a race, but let's talk a bit about figures. The proposal put forth by the Bloc for seniors is roughly $1,000 per year for every senior. And it's not interference into the exclusive jurisdiction of Quebec. Dental care is up to Quebec, but OAS is up to Ottawa. If we respect the will of the national will of Quebec, it's fine. Otherwise, well, what's his choice? The Right Honourable Prime Minister, Mr. Speaker, over the past few years, we've invested enormously to help seniors, and we're going to continue to look at ways of helping them. I think we can all agree that vulnerable people, we have to help even more, and that's what we're delivering, a dental care program. But like I said to my colleagues and provincial partners, if those who want to deliver the same program for the same costs, we're very happy to talk to them about it. But for the time being, we are here to deliver for vulnerable people and seniors. Several thousand people across the country have
Yeah, man. Shout out to the translator.
We can do both, right? These two bills we're talking about.
Don't worry, Pierre and Trudeau are coming back, folks.
Advanced stages.
So don't worry about leaving.
Stages by all parties in this House. It's the necessary time was given to the government, and it should, even in theory, also garner the support of the NDP. Does he realize that he needs to deliver for seniors sooner rather than later? The Right Honourable Prime Minister, like I said, Mr. Speaker, we are here to deliver for seniors, and we did so and will continue to do so. In terms of the farmers, I made a promise, Mr. Speaker, that no new negotiations for free trade agreements would hamper them or remove anything from the supply management sector. We are here to protect our farmers. This is a strong commitment I made, and we are going to always respect that. We're going to continue to work together to protect farmers, to protect supply management, and yes, to help our seniors. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
2015. New York Times. Headline. Life in Canada, home of the world's most affluent middle class. How things have changed after 9 years of NDP Liberals. The economy today per capita is actually smaller than it was 10 years ago. Per capita income has dropped more in Canada than any other G7 country since the year before COVID. The gap between U.S. GDP per capita and Canadian is now 50%, the biggest gap in 100 years. Will the Prime Minister recognize that taxing, punishing, and attacking our businesses is losing us jobs?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
What the Leader of the Opposition refuses to accept is that cuts to services and programs that Canadians are relying on is not going to grow the economy, is not going to help anyone through. We have the strongest balance sheet in the G7 right now. The lowest deficit, the lowest debt to GDP ratio. Companies from around the world are investing in Canada because they believe in Canadians. We are wanting to set that strong fiscal position in service of Canadians who are hurting right now. We want to invest more in dental, more in supports, more in growth and jobs, and he wants to cut at this particular time.
You're wastefully spending all our money, bro.
After 9 years of this NDP Liberal Prime Minister, Canada has the worst mortgage debt, has had the worst housing inflation in the G7, and now has the worst GDP per capita change since the Great Depression, and the worst by far in the G7. Those are the devastating statistics that result in very real human costs. That's the reason we have 1,400 homeless encampments in one province alone and 2 million people lined up at food banks. Won't he realize that doubling housing costs and taxing people's food has very real human costs?
We have the best balance sheet yet, all-time highs for food bank.
Speaker, when that individual was Harper's failed housing minister, he built 6 affordable homes across the entire country only. He did not help with the investments that Canadians needed. And his
I thought he built over like 200,000.
Now, which is again more performance than substance, lots of slogans, no actual solutions, is not going to deliver for Canadians either. We're doing what he didn't do, which is work with housing advocates, work with municipalities, work with provinces, and deliver the homes Canadians need.
Yeah, right, Trudeau. Lots of brochures, not many for sure's.
When I was housing minister, rent and mortgage payments were half of what they are now, and there were almost 200,000 of those affordable homes built right across Canada.
That's right.
Now, this Prime Minister wants to bring in a massive tax on home builders.
Ooh, his first ever hiccup.
Capital gains. Now, the most preeminent economist in Canada, Jack Mintz, reveals that would cost our economy 400,000 jobs and $90 billion. Where are those 400,000 unemployed Canadians going to be able to get the food and the money to pay their mortgages?
He headed towards the railing and straightened back out. No ums and ahs.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister takes the floor.
Man, so good.
I remind all members to please not take the floor when they're not recognized by the chair. The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Better than muting.
Mr. Speaker, the Leader of the Opposition is instrumentalizing Canadians who are suffering right now to try and score cheap political points. What he is not offering is any sort of solution for Canadians. We put forward the most ambitious housing plan in decades because we know that working with municipalities, working with provinces, working with nonprofit agencies and charitable foundations is a way of delivering homes. I was just in Vancouver speaking to a young student who got into an apartment because of part
the same one that's on the NDA
set up. These are things that make a real difference in people's lives, but he doesn't care.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Well, I will comment on one spectacular social housing project of his, and that is the brand new lavish apartment that he bought his friend, the new Consul General to New York. $9 million for his friend Tom Clark to have stunning powder room finished in jewel onyx, crystallo gold quartzite countertops, a handcrafted copper soaking tub, custom bronze bathroom fixtures, $5,000 coffee machine. Did the Prime Minister go and inspect this palace in the sky on his recent trip to New York?
How does he find this info?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, engaging with international leaders on fighting climate change, solving global crises.
You gotta spend money to make money, eh?
Unequivocally for Ukraine.
You gotta spend money to make money. That's Trudeau's outlook. Hey man, he's not muting the mic. He's not muting the mic.
Colleagues, just as I said before, just as I said earlier, I would ask all members to please not take the floor unless they're recognized by the Speaker so that we can...
Hey, shout out the House Speaker for not muting the mic.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister from the top, please.
Mr. Speaker, don't worry, on this side of the House, we're used to casual homophobic comments from the other side of the House.
Whoa!
Is it about...
Whoa! Make him apologize and kick him out! Are you kidding me? Oh no! He let his intrusive thoughts go through. Bro! Drop some L's. Don't mute the mic. Don't mute the mic. Yeah! You mother. Oh my God. They got to figure out what to do. I'm sorry for screaming. I'm so sorry for screaming. This is so unprecedented. Nothing like this has ever happened before. Are you kidding me? Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada, just let his intrusive thoughts go through by making that comment, accusing the Conservative Party of making casual homophobic comments. Are you kidding me? You can't just, I understand parliamentary privilege is one thing, but you cannot make that claim. That is going to be taken by people that are going to clip it, including myself, CTV, mainstream media. That is so inappropriate and dangerous for the Prime Minister to say that. Pierre Poilievre's right-hand person, Melissa Lantsman, isn't she, you know what I'm saying? Doesn't she support?
I heard comments that because it was not on microphone, I chose not to get up. I would ask, nonetheless, that we all treat each other with the presumption of honor and respect. And I'll ask the Prime Minister to please withdraw that comment and to start his comment again under the colleagues. I heard,
wow.
As I said, which I could not stand up because I did not know who said it. But we should be...
Nuh-uh. You should be kicked out immediately for that.
I don't appreciate when we would tar the entire members with that concern. And I'm going to ask the honourable member, please, to withdraw that comment, start his question again, and let us presume the better natures of all members of Parliament here. The Right Honourable Prime Minister from the top.
Mr. Speaker, standing up to bullies requires us to call them out on their craps, and that's what I will do.
Kick him out! Are you kidding me? No! L's in the chat. Kick him out. Give him the same treatment that you have to Pierre and other people. Kick him the fuck out of the house. You're accusing Pierre and the Conservatives of making casual homophobic comments. Get out. And you're not retracting it? Get out.
I'll invite the Prime Minister once again
to
rise on his feet.
No.
And thank you.
Double down, I dare you.
I will happily withdraw my comment if the member who suggested...
No, you don't get to negotiate.
Clark stands up, takes responsibility for his...
Kick him out! Kick him out! Kick him out! Kick him out! If he doesn't kick him out, man... This is insane. This was not on the bingo card today, folks. You gave him a second and third chance. Kick him out. Holy shit. Yeah, this is holy shit, everyone. Sorry for swearing. Sorry for yelling. I'm just trying to be honest here, man. This is crazy.
As I had indicated to all colleagues here, I was not able to hear or track the source of that statement. And I'm just asking the Prime Minister to be the better person, and to please just withdraw the comment.
No! No! Kick him out!
Prime Minister.
You don't get 4 chances.
Mr. Speaker, I withdraw the comment about defecating. I certainly, using the word crap, I shouldn't use that. I know crap is unparliamentary, but I will also, Mr. Speaker.
What the hell's happening?
Someone says something that is clearly homophobic. Not them. I'm not accusing them of homophobia.
You absolutely did.
Homophobic.
Kick him out, Speaker! Kick him out! How many chances are you going to give him?
I appreciate the Prime Minister withdrawing his comment, and the Chair accepts him withdrawing that comment.
Oh, come on!
As the Speaker had indicated, sometimes in this Chair, and for those who have occupied this chair or who will occupy this chair will understand, it is a very difficult decision day to day.
He's going to kick him out. He's going to kick him out.
Who said it? And the Speaker chose, for the reputation of this House, for us to move on from that comment. I asked the Prime Minister to withdraw the comment. I appreciate you withdrawing the comment. The Prime Minister, please respond to the question that was asked by the...
No!
Mr. Speaker, I know the very idea of standing up for Canada's rights and values on the world stage makes the Leader of the Opposition's skin crawl. What is it exactly? Is it standing up to fight climate change? Is it standing up for women's rights? Is it standing up for democracy rights and freedom of the press? Whatever it is, he sure doesn't like it when Canada stands proudly on the world stage because he wants everyone to think that Canada is broken. Well, Canada's not broken. Canada's the best country in the world. We're going to make it even better.
No, kick him out, dude. Wow, this is so corrupt. At the start of this live stream, I said I still had some faith in our system. I don't.
The Honourable Member from Nunavut.
Nunavut are prevented from thriving by the lack of doctors and access to health care. The Conservative leader will want to cut health care, but they will have nothing to cut as the Liberals haven't invested enough in Nunavut. The Prime Minister failed on his promises to deliver the health care people need. When will the Prime Minister invest in the health care Nunavut need so they can thrive?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
We signed a historic health agreement with the Premier of Nunavut. We will continue to be there as they deliver health care across the territory. We know how important it is to continue to invest in health care for the North. We know how important it is to continue to defend public health care in this country. We will continue to do that, even though, as the member opposite rightly points out, Conservatives want to cut public health care. They want to kill public health care.
The Honourable Member from London Fanshawe.
This government has failed to help our seniors age with dignity. Instead of putting people first, they've protected the profits of companies and abandoned seniors. They've let Doug Ford tear Ontario families apart and force seniors into some of the worst private long-term care homes. The military even found that some of these corporations, including one that the Conservative MP for Thornhill lobbied for, weren't giving seniors food and water. Wow. Why won't the Prime Minister put our families and our loved ones before profits?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, I agree with the concern the member opposite expressed on security and safety for our most vulnerable seniors. That's why in this House we're moving forward with the Safe Long-Term Care Act later this fall. We certainly are counting on the support of our progressive friends from the NDP, but we hope that all members in this House will stand up and support a Safe Long-Term Care Act because we need to make sure we are protecting and supporting our most vulnerable seniors right across the country.
That's right.
The Honourable Member from Yukon.
Mr. Speaker, as National Truth and Reconciliation...
That's so corrupt, guys. I'm sorry.
...honors in my riding, and Canadians everywhere will be reflecting on the painful history of First Nation, Inuit, and Métis children being removed from their families and communities, some of them never to return home.
Wow, that just changed the entire pace of the stream. That's absolutely insane. We've never seen anything like this before.
Continue to address the truth and support.
Start the petition now.
The Prime Minister informed the House on the government's
just like Annie.
Rebuild relationships with Indigenous.
You can bet your bottom dollar.
To demonstrate that every.
Or is that Oliver Twist?
Great question.
Good question. Shit, I don't know.
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
I want to thank the member for Yukon for his question and for his deep commitment to reconciliation.
Conservatives should just get up and leave. That's so messed up.
We reflect on a dark chapter in Canada's history, one of residential schools and colonialism. We reflect on the ongoing impacts to survivors, their families, and their communities. We are delivering on the calls to action and reconciliation by moving forward on UNDRIP, and we established the National Council for Reconciliation. Indigenous leaders and survivors are guiding our approach. We continue the journey to reconciliation. We will not go back.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
The Prime Minister says the way he stands up for Canada is by buying a $9 million mansion in the sky for his crony Tom Clark. Well, he goes on Broadway late-night shows to say that...
there it is.
That he said that it was a small issue that the Americans had illegally taken $9 billion of our softwood money and cost tens of thousands of jobs. Conservatives got a deal on this in 80 days after taking offices. He's had 9 years and 3 presidents. Why does he keep letting the Americans walk all over him?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I was glad to have the chance to speak directly to millions of Americans in this crucial moment and make the argument directly to them that we've been making to policymakers that U.S. tariffs on Canadian softwood lumber hurts American citizens and consumers. And when I go on American television, I make sure to talk up Canada, unlike the member for Calgary Nose Hill who talked down Canada to Tucker Carlson, unlike the member from Thornhill that went on Fox News to talk down Canada. I will always stand up for Canada proudly.
Dude, this is insane. I am speechless. My phone is blowing up. Sorry. I got a lot of people going, what the hell has just happened?
Only he didn't stand up. He backed down.
Yes.
He's been backing down for 9 years, during which time 3 presidents have imposed illegal tariffs that Conservatives had originally got taken off. And recently, Biden doubled those tariffs, causing 500 mill workers to lose their jobs in British Columbia. They must have been watching that show, seeing the Prime Minister say that their unemployment and their now poverty was a, quote, small issue. Why is it that he thinks he's such a big shot that the jobs of working people are a small issue?
Yeah, he didn't talk up Canada. He shit on Canada.
Mr. Speaker, it's obvious that the Leader of the Opposition really didn't like that I went down to New York City to talk directly to Americans. Perhaps he would have been happier if I accepted an all-expenses-paid trip perhaps down to Florida to appear at an anti-abortion church. I know he would have been all right with that because that's what he allows of his own members.
What is going on?
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Falsehoods will not change the reality. His record is this. Common sense Conservatives got a softwood deal that reimbursed $4 billion of tariffs the Americans had collected within 80 days of taking office last time. Those tariffs were slapped back on under this Prime Minister, and he's capitulated ever since, not collecting $1 of the tariffs back. In fact, President Biden has now doubled those tariffs. He capitulated on Buy America, capitulated on softwood, capitulated on the Keystone Pipeline. When can we have a government that stops capitulating and starts standing up for Canada?
The
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, it's the deepest of ironies that during the existential renegotiations of NAFTA, it is the Conservative Party's position that we needed to capitulate to the United States and to Donald Trump. That is not what we did. We stood firm. We protected steelworkers. We protected auto workers. We protected agricultural workers and our dairy farmers. We continue to
protect steel workers.
Americans while we protect jobs in the
dairy farmers hate you.
We're saying, "Ooh, it's too important. You need to give in to the United States." We didn't. We stood strong. We came out of that with a win-win right across the board.
That's right.
Call the election then, tough guy.
Monsieur le Président, il a capitulé.
He signed a deal that kept tariffs on softwood. Tariffs which the Conservatives had previously managed to get rid of. He caved in on Buy America, which discriminates against our companies. He caved in on Keystone, and now Canadians are investing $400 million more in the U.S. than the opposite way. Why has he caved in and let down our construction and forestry workers?
Minister.
Mr. Speaker, you should be very careful about reminding people what things were like under Harper when he was on the governing side. Canadians remember very clearly what it was like under that government, which didn't invest
This guy's stuck in the past, eh? He just can't take accountability for armed forces, what he's done.
Police and childcare. They cut all the programs that Canadians depend on and didn't create the growth that Canadians need. We will continue to invest in Canadians and stand up for our steel and aluminum workers. We will be there to defend jobs in Canada. The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly. Mr. Speaker, I'm scratching my head here. I'm wondering how we might not get there, because everyone agrees with the Bloc's bills. So I imagine everyone will continue to support them. The NDP, the Conservatives, the Liberals, all supported our bills. So I wonder if the government will get it in gear, because time is running out for farmers in Quebec, and leaders of all parties have agreed. So in order to get there by the end of October, something's got to give. The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, I'm very happy to know that the Bloc may be there to support our dental care program.
Oh man, I hope they vote for no confidence.
We're talking about millions of Canadians, including Quebecers, who've had access to dental services when the Bloc was against the program, but we managed to get it delivered all the same for thousands of people, and we will be there. We will still be there to help seniors with dental care and to invest in their future with housing, and we will be there to deliver the necessary services. Now, a member for Belleuil-Chambly, with that kind of logic, that's how the Liberal government has got to the edge of the precipice. So they should perhaps change their approach a little bit, maybe a little less sparring and a bit more substance. So he says he agrees with being there for seniors and protecting supply management. Everyone agrees. There's been unanimous support. So we need those two bills to get through. Are we going to move forward on this? Yes or no? The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Holy smokes. Don't worry, folks. They're bringing back Pierre and Trudeau.
Government has always been to move forward. Moving forward on investment.
Hey, if you haven't yet already, take this time to smash that like button and subscribe.
For the next
It's free and it really does help a lot.
Moving forward on the fight against climate change and economic growth at the same time, we will be there to work constructively with everyone who wants to deliver the goods for Canadians here in this place. And I'm glad that we're going to continue our constructive and productive conversations with the Bloc Québécois. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
He proposes to quadruple the carbon tax to 61 cents a litre on seniors, small businesses and single moms. The Prime Minister spent his summer in a frenzy of high carbon, high taxing, high flying hypocrisy. Newly released data show that he went 92,000 kilometers. In flights on average every 2 days, he went 300,000 liters of jet fuel. Why is it that he punishes working class Canadians with his quadrupling carbon tax when he flies around burning more and more jet fuel?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, perhaps if the Leader of the Opposition had actually met with Canadians or talked with media or been out there across the country over the course of the summer, he would have heard the fact that Canadians need support from government programs and services. Canadians want to see $10 a day childcare. Canadians want to see support on dental care. Canadians want to see a national school food program. These are all things that he wants to cut because that's all he's offering Canadians. That shows me he wasn't listening to Canadians he was talking to. He was just making sure he could use them to advance his own political aims. We're offering salute.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
So there you have it. He was charging Canadians for his 92,000 kilometers of flights so that he could go around repeating the promises that he's broken nationwide while taxing them. And his plan is to hike that tax to 61 cents a litre. Mr. Speaker, he emitted more carbon than 114 Canadians combined this summer. Why does the Prime Minister drive people into poverty, children into hunger, with promises he breaks and hypocrisy that he cannot reconcile?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Well, now Canadians know, Mr. Speaker, in the unfortunate event that that guy ever ends up Prime Minister, he's going to stay at home in his basement on YouTube the whole time instead of...
Hey! What do you got against YouTube?
The Honourable Leader of the The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, we can resolve that question right now with a carbon
tax election.
Mais on sait que le Premier ministre ne veut.
But we know the Prime Minister doesn't want to do that because he has such a bad record on the environment and on the economy. It's not just tax hikes, but Canada is now ranked 63rd out of 67 countries when it comes to the effectiveness of our fight against climate change. So that's the hypocrisy. He's doing nothing for the environment. Is he not willing to try to defend his disastrous record before Canadians? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, Canadians are starting to see that the leader of the Conservative Party has no plan whatsoever to fight climate change, no plan to put more money in Canadians' pockets while fighting climate change. And clearly, he doesn't understand.
Oh, he'll put more money in our pockets.
To create an economy for the future is to deal with the environment at the same time. So the Conservative leader's refusal to understand the absolute necessity of continuing the fight against climate change shows how completely out of touch he is with Canadians and Quebecers. The government, the right of women to choose is a fundamental right. Many fear that the Conservative leader and his party will not protect this fundamental right. Does the Prime Minister agree that a party that doesn't defend women's right to choose cannot be considered a pro-choice government? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. I'd like to thank the member for London West for this fundamental question. Canadian women are concerned when they see the Conservatives, the member for Cypress Hills Grassland, going to Florida, all expenses paid, to promote a future without access to abortion. They are concerned when they see the member for Yorkton Melville, the Conservative member, proposing that not just once, twice, but 3 times proposing limits on access to abortion when the leader votes the other way. The Conservative leader may appear to be many things, but he certainly cannot pretend to be pro-choice.
Let's call an election.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Let the people decide.
Well, we've already said that we wouldn't change the law on abortion, and what he's saying is completely false. We will protect women. We will protect women with legislation against violence that has shot up by 53% after 9 years of this Prime Minister because of his policies that releases the most violent reoffenders. Now, will the Prime Minister allow Quebecers to vote to stop crime by putting true criminals behind bars and by making our border safer? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, women in Canada know full well that to be pro-choice means standing up against all those who seek to limit women's rights, who seek to take rights away from women, as we've seen in the U.S. And what we see from this Conservative leader over and over again is that he is incapable of standing up to members of his own caucus who would like to limit access to abortion, and who even vote in favor of measures. He even votes in favor of those members. It's shameful, Mr. Speaker. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Completely false, and I could use another word outside of the House to describe stating a falsehood knowingly, but we'll save that for when we are outside the House. Mr. Speaker, the reality is that after 9 years of this Prime Minister's policies, gun crime is up 120%. Yep. He's put all the resources into targeting lawful, law-abiding, trained and tested duck hunters and blown $67 million without recovering a single solitary gun that he promised 4 years ago to ban. Why won't we let Canadians vote to stop the crime and put the real gun criminals in jail?
$67 million on infrastructure, software? Doesn't make any sense.
Every time the Leader of the Opposition stands up to rhyme off his little show, all his MPs...
And ask the Right Honourable Prime Minister to start from the top, please.
Mr. Speaker, every time the Leader of the Opposition gets up on his feet to rhyme off his little show, his party members applaud enthusiastically. But the two times he just stood up to suggest that he is perhaps pro-choice, silence from his team, Mr. Speaker. He cannot protect women's rights from the members of his own caucus, Mr. Speaker. That's not standing up for women. That's not protecting the future. That's not freedom in this country.
All right, somebody go find the woman who had to sign that NDA. Let's get some investigations going on that, huh? West Point Grey?
Colleagues, the Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, what we're seeing from this erratic performance today is a Prime Minister who's like a...
Can I ask the Honourable Member from Richmond Hill to please stay quiet as the...
Trudeau's unhinged, man.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition from the top, please.
Beyond the normal fear and falsehoods, what we're seeing from this Prime Minister today is someone who is erratic and lost control of himself because he is so desperate. My question was about car theft. My next one is about Nanaimo drug dens. Drug dens which now are funded and authorized by this government through a permit under the Controlled and Substance Act, which was now cracked down upon by police officers for trafficking illegal substances and having 13 weapons. Will the Prime Minister stop giving the permits for these illegal drug dens so that we can stop the crime and bring home safety?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we recognize that far too many Canadians have been impacted by the opioid epidemic, by the toxic drug crisis. That is why we're doubling down on science and supports on the street. We're there to look at ways to help families through this, to deal with addictions, to lift people out of poverty. And yes, we will partner with people right across the country to do that on things that make sense in their jurisdictions. We're going to stay grounded in science while the leaders opposite choose their ideology as guiding paths.
Yeah, very good.
The honourable member from Steveston, Richmond. Richmond East.
Throughout the summer, I met with my constituents and listened to what's on their minds. They want rapid construction of new housing options. They want their kids to have the best possible start in life with $10 a day childcare.
Doesn't even work.
Nutritious food in the schools. They want to build an economy that works for everyone.
Less government.
They know that
more money in our pockets,
we need
cheaper
to make
taxes.
our tax system fair. Mr. Speaker, could the Prime Minister please update this House on the government's plan to create fairness for every generation?
Stop gouging people.
Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the member for Steveston, Richmond East for his question and his hard work. This is about fairness for every generation by building more homes, making life more affordable, and creating more good-paying jobs. And today, the House will vote on our plan to make the tax system fairer. We know that fairness is the last thing the Conservative leader and his party care about, and that his agenda is filled with cuts to housing, healthcare, and freedoms. Well, on this side, we stand with Canadians.
Freeland's the only one that stood up.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Israel's horrifying and indiscriminate bombings of Lebanon continue, and Canada is nowhere to be found. Hundreds of civilians have been killed, including 2 Canadians and dozens of children. There are tens of thousands of Canadians in Lebanon.
He's literally reading
are terrified of what will
word for word what Jagmeet just posted on X.
For de-escalation, take real action to create peace and safety for everyone in the region. When will the Prime Minister act to save Canadians in Lebanon and their families?
Why does the NDP support?
Speaker, over the past days, I've spoken with Lebanese
terrorist entities.
Who are deeply worried for their families, and our hearts go out to the loved ones of the 2 Canadians killed. We need to see de-escalation right now from both Israel and Hezbollah. I spoke with leaders this week, including the King of Jordan and the UN Secretary General, along with G7 allies, on the need for urgent de-escalation. Civilians need to be protected. This violence needs to stop, and we need to move on a path towards regional stability and peace.
We can also focus on stuff happening here in Canada. You know that, right?
Honourable member from Saanich Gulf Islands.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And on the same point, it's clear that world leaders have been calling out for the last year since the horrific attacks of October 7th for restraint and to control the conflict so it doesn't spread as it just is spreading into Lebanon. And we know who the enemy of peace is. Unfortunately, he has a name. He's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. And
whoa!
His political career and his...
Whoa! Holy shit! The Canadian government supports Israel. The Green Party is against Israel.
Only.
Wow!
I'll ask you only to take the floor when you're recognized by the chair.
I'll give it.
The honourable member.
Where credit is due. She got balls.
One moment, please.
Oh my God, they might kick her out for doing that. That's crazy. That contradicts what every other person on that floor is saying.
And I ask the honourable member from Saanich Gulf Islands to conclude her question. She has 10 seconds on the clock.
Mr. Speaker, is that we are allies of Israel, but Israel's Prime Minister is unpopular. He's put his personal ego,
like Justin Trudeau,
career ahead of rescuing Israeli hostages, and he seems to care nothing about innocent civilians, whether in Gaza.
Sounds like you're describing Justin Trudeau. Should there be an election in Israel?
The Right Honourable
Speaker, the violence in the Middle East needs to stop. We need to see hostages released. We need to see Hamas lay down its arms. We need a ceasefire. We need to get back on a path towards a two-state solution where you have a peaceful, secure, democratic Israel alongside a peaceful, secure, democratic Palestinian state. That is Canada's position. That is what we are working with friends and allies and partners in the region are. That's what we will continue to work on every single day to bring peace and stability to that region.
He doesn't even know what he's saying. Holy shit.
And so comes to an end of question period.
Okay. Wow. That was insane.
The honourable member from Edmonton Griesbach is rising on a point of order.
We got point of orders and then we got votes.
Speaker, during question period, we clearly heard a very derogatory, homophobic, and cowardly comment coming from the Conservative benches directed at the Prime Minister. Clearly, Conservative MPs heard it because many of them started to laugh. I have listened to the feed on Parleview, and we can hear the remark. Yeah. I urge you, Mr. Speaker, to review the tapes and come back with a ruling. Thank you very much.
I didn't hear anything. And the 50,000 people that have watched this stream so far, let me know if anyone down in the comments has heard anything. The only homophobic thing I heard was the accusation from Justin Trudeau that the Conservative Party has been making homophobic remarks.
Thank the honourable member from Edmonton Griesbach for his intervention. I will take it under advice.
Substantiate your claim
to the House if this is necessary. It being 3:34.
Folks, we're just getting started.
To the taking of the deferred recorded division of the motion of Mr. Poilievre relating to the business of supply.
As it is 3:34, we'll now proceed to the taking of the deferred recorded division on the motion of Mr. Poilievre relating to the business of supply. Call in the members.
Okay. Okay, so it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. Looks like they're preparing a vote. Holy crap. Holy smokes, I have to gather my thoughts, man. I'm lightheaded after all that yelling. Yeah, they're going to call for the vote. They're just prepping. So we got the timer there on screen. Lots of people in the comments. Hundreds of people in the comments saying that there was no homophobic remarks made by the Conservative Party. Okay. Wow. Folks, that was... That was insane. I don't know what to think of that. I will absolutely be doing a petition to have Greg Fergus, the House Speaker, either removed or penalized, some form of suspension or some form of public apology. So right now, what we're waiting for, that timer on screen, is for the rest of the MPs to show up in the House before a vote. So if anyone obviously is in other parts of the country or the province, they can't show up, but it's to get everybody ready for the vote. So they're going to be voting once that counter hits 0 and the feed comes back. I'm going to be starting a petition, folks. I'm starting a petition 100%. What he is doing is abuse of power. It's manipulative and it's discriminatory to all of the visually impaired people out there.
The question is as follows.
Mr. Poilievre,
seconded by Mr. Nader, moved that the House has no confidence in the Prime Minister and the government.
By Mr. Nader, moved that the House has no confidence in the Prime Minister and in the government. The 10-minute period for voting, 4 members voting electronically has started, and the House will now proceed to the vote for members participating in person. Mm-hmm. All those in favor of the motion will please vote.
Yeah! Drop some W's, folks!
Mr. Schmale. Mr. Bazan. Mr. Kimmich. Mr. Perkins.
There you go.
Mr. Brock.
Monsieur Deltel.
Monsieur Deltel.
Mrs. Stubbs.
Mrs. Stubbs.
Monsieur Paulus.
Monsieur Paulus.
Mr. Scheer.
Mr. Scheer.
Mr. Upal.
Mr. Upal.
Ms. Lantzman.
Ms. Lantzman.
Mr. Halan.
Mr. Halan.
Ms. Lewis Haldeman Norfolk.
Ms. Lewis Haldeman Norfolk.
Yeah.
Barrett.
Mr. Barrett.
Mrs. Gray.
Mrs. Gray.
Hey, you never know what can happen.
Barlow.
Ms. Dancho.
You never know what can happen.
Mr. Ellis.
Mr. Ellis.
Mr. Kelly.
Mr. Kelly.
Mr. Baldinelli.
Mr. Baldinelli.
Row by row.
Mr. Cooper.
Mr. Williams.
Mr. Williams.
Mr. Caputo.
Mr. Caputo.
Mr. Jennis.
Mr. Jennis.
Mr. Small.
Mr.
I
Small.
want to thank Mandy for the $2.79. I want to thank Big Man Outdoors for the $5. Chris Fisher.
Stormont Dundas Glengarry.
Appreciate that, the $5.
Monsieur
Shauna Marie with the 20.
Mr. Workington.
Mr. Work.
Off-road everything for the $2.79.
Mr. Abu Tayyif.
Mr. Abu Tayyif.
Mrs. Kuzi.
Mrs. Kuzi.
Mr. Seabass.
Stacy with the 7-month membership. Thank you so much.
Mrs. Block.
Mrs. Block.
Mr. Stewart, Miramichi Grand Lake.
Mr. Stewart, Miramichi Grand Lake.
Mr. Chambers.
Mr. Chambers.
Shauna with the $5 again.
Mr. Viss.
Mr. Viss.
Mr. Doherty.
Hard things are hard, says Prime Minister Justin Trudeau.
West.
Mr. Lloyd.
Mr. Lloyd.
Monsieur Brassard.
Mr. Brassard.
Mrs. Goodridge.
Mrs. Goodridge.
Mr. Moore.
Mr. Moore.
Mr. Aitchison.
Mr. Aitchison.
Funes with the $2, thank you.
Madame Vien.
TD with the 10. Vote for the no confidence, thank you. Mike Jackson with the $2. Sell out saying words mean nothing.
Mr. Tucker.
Mr. Tucker.
Keep the W's flowing, chat.
Mr. Canna.
Mr. Canna.
Mrs. Cramp Nyman.
Mrs. Cramp Nyman.
Mrs. Roberts.
Mrs. Roberts.
Mr. Patzer.
Mr. Patzer.
Shotzi with the $2.79. My family doctor moved to the U.S. under this liberal government.
Shipley.
Mr. Muse.
Mr. Muse.
Mr. Redikoff.
Mr. Redikoff.
Mr. Van Popta.
Mr. Van Popta.
Funis.
Waugh.
Mr. Waugh.
Mr. Stein.
Chet Trudeau up. The $2, thank you.
Ms. Rude.
Shauna again with the 5, thank you.
Monsieur
Généreux.
Monsieur Généreux.
Mr. Genereux.
Mr. Genereux.
Dustin with the 5, thank you very much.
Mr. Mazer.
Mr. Mazer.
Patriot Linda.
Mr. Davidson.
Thank you.
Mr. Martel.
Mr. Martel.
For the 5.
Mr. Gould.
Mr. Couric.
Chris with the 10, thank you.
Mr. F.
Shauna.
Ms. Rempel Garner.
Again with the 5, and again with the 5. Holy smokes.
Mr. Dreeshen.
Mr. Dreeshen.
Mr. Majumdar.
Mr. Majumdar.
Mr. Cram.
Mr. Cram.
Mr. Tolmie.
Mr. Tolmie.
Mrs. Wagenthal.
Mrs. Wagenthal.
Mr. Albus.
Mr. Albus.
Mr. Bragdon.
Mr. Bragdon.
Mr. Allison.
Mr. Allison.
T-Bosch with the 4-month membership. Thank you very much.
Mr. Nader.
Mr. Nader.
Stephen Kennedy with the $5. I run a small business and the carbon tax costs me $20,000 per year. That's absolutely insane, man.
Mr.
Holy smokes.
Mr. McGuire.
Mr. McGuire.
Javon with the $27.99. 7K people watching and 2.5K likes. Man, this is what I love about the community. I don't even have to tell people to smash the like button. You guys do it. You guys do it to each other. It's beautiful.
Mr. Soroka.
Mr. Soroka.
Mrs. Vecchio.
Thank you for that. Also, if you haven't yet already, smash that like button and subscribe. I'll do it anyways.
Mr.
Shauna with the 10 again. Please like, share, subscribe, and support our friend,
Mr.
fellow Canadian and daddy Jasper. Thank you, Shauna.
Mr. Leipert.
Mr. Leipert.
Mr. Kitchen.
Mr. Kitchen.
Funis with the $2. Thank you. Shauna again with the $2. Thank you. Kevin with the $6.99. Start the petition. I absolutely will, Kevin. Ohana with the membership. Thank you.
All those opposed to the motion will please rise.
Monsieur Trudeau.
Mr. Macaulay Cardigan.
Mr. Macaulay.
Oh, for crying out loud.
Mr. Blair.
Mr. Blair.
Mr. Holland.
What makes my skin crawl is this insipid government. Matthew with the $5. Thank you.
Monsieur Leblanc.
Monsieur Leblanc.
Ms. Gould.
Ms. Gould.
Ms. Freeland.
Sorry with the $2. Thank you.
Monsieur Guilbeault.
Shauna again with the 5. Thank you.
Monsieur Boissonneau.
Darren with the 5. Killer. 9090 with the new membership. Welcome. Thank you.
Ms. Sachs.
Shauna again with the 10. Please like, share.
Ms. Taggart.
Shauna, how many super chats are you doing to tell people to like and share?
McKay.
Mr. McKay.
Ms. Scrow.
Ms. Scrow.
Shauna again with the 5.
Scarpelletti.
Get rid of the clowns.
Mr.
Thank
Casey.
you.
Mr. Casey.
Dad Talks 279.
Siobhan.
Someone get May another drink.
Ms. Cara.
No doubt.
Saint-Onge.
Madame Saint-Onge.
Ms. Qualtrough.
Ms. Qualtrough.
May was pretty off the rails, eh?
Monsieur Miller. Miller.
Monsieur Miller.
Ms. Sahota.
Ms. Sahota.
Madame Jolie.
Madame Jolie.
Shauna again with the 5. Scapegoat with the 2. Thank you.
Taylor.
Madame Petitpas-Taylor.
Mr. Ananda Sangari.
Cherie with the $13.99. Thank you, Cherie.
Madame Martinez Farada.
Madame Martinez Farada.
Mrs. Valdez.
Mrs. Valdez.
Ms. Jazek.
Ms. Jazek.
Mr. Dhaliwal.
Brian with the 5. Thank you.
Mr. Aria.
Mr. Aria.
How many do we need
Lalonde.
Madame Lalonde.
for the motion?
Mrs. Romanado.
Mr. Sheehan.
Mr. Sheehan.
I mean, they're all voting no. At least the Liberals are.
Mr. Oliphant.
Mr. Oliphant.
Madame Bendayan.
Does not look good so far, folks. I'll tell you that.
Mr. Garrettson.
Mr. Lamoureux.
Mr. Lamoureux.
Madame Fautier.
Stacy with the 5 gifts membership. Thank you, Stacy.
Mr. Biddle.
Ms. DeBruce.
Justin C with the 667. Thank you very much. Matthew with the $2.
Kuzmayarchuk.
Thank you.
Mr. May Cambridge.
Mr. May Cambridge.
Ms.
I believe I'm fully caught up, folks. Thank you very much.
Zerowitz.
Mr. Assassi.
Mr. Assassi.
Mr. El Khoury.
So it's important to note that even the Quebec Premier,
Monsieur Yacano.
the Premier of Quebec, urged the Bloc Québécois to vote, actually didn't urge, begged the Bloc Québécois. The entire party urged them, begged them to vote for
Mr. Sousa.
the non-confidence.
Mr. Dogood.
Mr. Dogood.
Mrs. Atwin.
Mrs. Atwin.
Mr. Maloney.
Mr. Maloney.
Mr. Housefather.
Mr. Housefather.
Mr. Sarai.
Mr. Sarai.
If the NDP
Mr. Kellaway.
and the Bloc voted no,
Mr. Serré. Correction, Monsieur Sanson.
I'm being told that they would have had already been standing up. So far, only the Conservatives
Mr.
and the Liberals have voted.
Fisher.
Mr. Long.
Maybe they're going party to party,
Mr. Longfield.
Mr. McDonald Avalon.
Mr. McDonald.
but that doesn't make any sense because it's yeses and versus nos.
Mr. Morris.
So this is kind of confusing.
Mr. Schiefke.
Monsieur Schiefke.
Madame Shanahan.
Madame Shanahan.
Ms. Cedar Brampton South.
Ms. Cedar Brampton South.
Mr. Sorbara.
Mr. Sorbara.
Ms. Hefner.
Ms. Hefner.
Mr. Turnbull.
Mr. Turnbull.
Mr. Nur Mohammed.
Mr. Nur Mohammed.
Ms. Khalid.
Ms. Khalid.
Mr. Chang.
Mr. Chang.
Madame Zaid.
Mrs. Zaid.
They're abstaining.
Mr. Rogers.
Mr. Rogers.
Ms. Yip.
Ms. Yip.
Mr.
Sebastien with the $2. Rare W for François Legault.
Mr. Lewis Kitchener-Conestoga.
Mr. Lewis Kitchener-Conestoga.
Mr. Pulowski.
Mr. Pulowski.
Mr. Van Bynen.
Mr. Van Bynen.
Madame Mendez.
Madame Mendez.
Mr. Ali.
Mr. Ali.
Mr. Baines.
Mr. Baines.
Ms. Bradford.
Ms. Bradford.
Madame Châtel.
Madame Châtel.
Madame Diab.
Madame Diab.
Mr. Gahir.
Mr. Gahir.
Mr. Hanley.
Mr. Hanley.
Ms. Kayabaga.
Ms. Kayabaga.
Madame Lapointe.
Madame Lapointe.
Mr. McDonald Malpeck.
Mr. McDonald Malpeck.
Mr. Meow.
Mr. Meow.
Elizabeth May seems to have abstained.
Thompson.
Mr. Carr.
Mr. Carr.
Ms. Gainey.
Ms. Gainey.
Monsieur Blanchet.
Monsieur Blanchet.
Monsieur Sainte-Marie.
Monsieur Sainte-Marie.
Here's people from the Bloc.
Madame Normandin.
Madame Normandin.
Monsieur Simard.
Monsieur Simard.
Monsieur Bergeron.
Monsieur Bergeron.
Monsieur Garon.
Monsieur Garon.
Madame de Bellefeuille.
Madame de Bellefeuille.
Madame Michaud.
Madame Michaud.
Monsieur Fortin.
Monsieur Fortin.
Monsieur Brunel Duceppe.
Monsieur Brunel Duceppe.
Monsieur Villemur.
Monsieur Villemur.
Madame Gaudreau.
Madame Gaudreau.
Madame Larouche.
Madame Larouche.
Monsieur Savard. Monsieur Barcelou Duval.
Monsieur Barcelou Duval.
Monsieur Plamondon.
Monsieur Plamondon.
Madame Vignola.
Madame Vignola.
Madame Posé.
Madame Posé.
Monsieur Champoux.
Monsieur Champoux.
Shampoo.
Monsieur Beaulieu.
Monsieur Beaulieu.
And Madame Conditioner.
Monsieur Lemire.
Madame Saint-Clair-Desgagnés.
Madame Saint-Clair-Desgagnés.
Madame Chabot.
Madame Chabot.
Madame Desbiens.
Madame Desbiens.
Yeah, so Bloc's voting against.
Monsieur Blanchette Jonca.
Madame Bérubé.
Madame Bérubé.
All right.
Monsieur
For
Désir.
those who are wanting to know what's going on,
Mr. Singh.
Mr. Singh.
Mr. Massey.
Mr. Massey.
Ms. Matheson.
Miss Matheson.
here's the NDP.
Ms. McPherson.
Miss McPherson.
Jagmeet Bras
Ms.
kid.
Idlout.
Ms. Idlow.
Ms.
So you had every Conservative vote yes,
McGregor.
every Liberal vote no,
Madame Hughes.
Madame Hughes.
every or most Bloc members vote no, maybe some abstained, and now NDP is voting no, and maybe some are abstaining.
Angus.
They don't have clear lines defining who's who. You're just supposed to know, right?
Ms. Zarillo.
It's not color-coded, like in the red corner, in the blue corner.
Ms. May, Saanich Golf
And there's the Green Party. Okay.
Mr. Morris.
So it's unclear right now if anyone abstained.
La Chambre attendra.
Conservatives voted yes.
For the electronic voting period to end.
Everybody else voted no.
Proceedings.
They never go by party. It's usually by rows. So that was unusual. And that was likely the decision of the House Speaker. So they're just counting the votes now. You can see who voted yes, who voted no. As you can predict, Liberals and Bloc voted no, and Conservatives voted yes. Oh, Independent. Whoa, Han Dong voted nay. Some abstained. You just saw that. Some abstained. Omar Algebra, he's still in there. I thought he was picked up by Hollywood for Ratatouille 2. Yeah, all the libs and the NDPs voted nay. Anthony Rota, previous House Speaker, nay. How does he even have a vote? He invited a freaking Nazi into Parliament. Like, that's insane. Yeah. So there you go. So this didn't go obviously as planned. Well, it went as predicted by a lot of professionals, by a lot of people. I think we were all hoping. We were all high on the hopium. But even though it seems like it didn't work.
I wish to inform the House that the electronic voting period has ended. If members were unable to vote due to technical difficulties, they may now use the raise hand function and the chair will recognize them. The table will now compile the results of the vote.
Yeas pour 120, 120. Nays contre 211, 211.
I declare the motion defeated.
120 yeas, 211 nays. This is the stupid thing about our parliament.
The House will now proceed.
Oh, something happened.
Now proceed to the taking of the deferred recorded division on the motion at second reading of Bill C-223 under private members' business.
La question est la suivante.
The question is as follows.
By Mr. Green, move.
All right, folks, there's too much importantness that needs to happen here, so I need to cut that stream short. For those that are wanting a quick answer, the motion got defeated. The vote in non-confidence has been rejected. There is no election, unfortunately. It is sad. I was very much under the impression and hoping that it would happen. That's the bad news. The good live stream. Are you kidding me? Insane. We've had over 60,000 people, 70,000 people have already watched this stream so far. Am I frozen? Am I good? They cut the streams. Am I back? Hello? Testing. Mic check. It's back. There we go. All right. Hey, Russian interference, liberal interference. What the hell just happened? We've had a flawless stream this entire time. What the hell just happened? What the hell is going on? Huh? Talk about corruption. So we saw a few things today. We got to witness insane behavior. Justin Trudeau was able to get away. He was able to get away with false accusations towards the Conservative Party, specifically Pierre, calling him or saying to a nation, to the world that's watching, that he's made homophobic comments. No repercussions, no evidence to back that claim, nothing. You can just make baseless claims and get away with it under parliamentary privilege. So that is the stuff that we just saw. The rotten to the core. Thank you for that super chat, Scapegoat. The rotten to the core truth of what's really happening in Parliament. I told you I would start a petition. Once I figure out how to do so, I will start that freaking petition. Are you kidding me? This is absolutely insane. Canadian politics is a joke. So I said the bad news, the motion got denied. The good news is now the corruption has shown up. Jagmeet Singh did not break up with Justin Trudeau, as he's so claimed. NDP supporters and NDP voters and Bloc Québécois voters and Bloc Québécois supporters have now lost confidence in their own parties, the people that they support. People are going to be flocking to the Conservative Party. So this was a tactic. Either there's going to be an election or you're going to see the rottenness that happens within Parliament of all these politicians saying, oh, we don't like Trudeau. We don't like Trudeau. He's not giving us what we want. So call an election. Well, no, hold on there. Hold on. I didn't say that, right? So you saw a lot of the corruption come up. And it's been exposed. So that's the good news. Now, whether you choose to believe that that's actually good news or not, it's my belief. I identify as believing that that is good news. And so I'm going to take away with that. But yeah, no, this sucks. To sum it up, it sucks and it's extremely disappointing. It was one hell of an entertaining stream. We don't know when Pierre Poilievre can call another vote of non-confidence. But as we've seen, as time goes on, politics is getting extremely tense, and we are just starting the fall session. We just started this week. This is going to be insane. So make sure you subscribe to this channel. Make sure you turn on that little bell notification so you can be updated for upcoming streams, because this right now, heading into the Christmas season, it's going to be a wild ride. You're going to have Pierre Poilievre throwing mud at the Liberals. You're going to have Pierre Poilievre throwing mud at the NDP and at the Bloc. It is just beginning, ladies and gentlemen. So that's where we're going to end it. It's very unfortunate that the motion did not go through. But we saw how corrupt Parliament is. Greg Fergus, yet again, this guy right here, the petition is coming for you, buddy. This guy right there on screen muted the mic again, even though he's been told not to do it. You have regular people that are not into politics, not us, right? Maybe there's some casual political consumers here watching the show, but for the most part, a lot of us are heavily invested in what's going on day to day with the news, right? You have regular people that don't care about politics that are now showing up and they're watching this stuff and they're going, hey, what the hell's actually going on with our parliament system? I thought the government was good. Why are they acting bad? Why is this House Speaker guy wearing these robes? Why is he muting the microphone? Why does he have the power to do that? So the good news is that more and more people are becoming aware of what's happening. And that is what we're going to need when it actually comes time for the next election. We need as many people as possible here in Canada to be aware of what's going on, right? The 63-year-old neighbor that doesn't really watch politics, but she's like, hey, I really don't like that Trudeau guy. Now she's aware, right? All the friends and family that never really cared about this stuff, they're all paying attention, probably because we talk about it all the time. We got the holiday season coming up. We got Thanksgiving, right? We got other holidays. We got Christmas. By the way, that's my birthday. I also share it with the devil, Justin Trudeau, who's also born on Christmas. It's unfortunate, but nonetheless, we got holidays coming up. People are going to be getting together. They're going to be having turkey. They're going to be having food. They're going to be talking about stuff. Politics is going to be, and the news is going to be a major, major thing to be talking about at these family and friend gatherings. And you're going to see the Conservatives are going to skyrocket in the polls. Currently sitting at 220 projected seats for the opinion polls. Mark my words. You're going to see 230 before Christmas. You're going to see 230 before Christmas. And it doesn't matter moving forward that there's going to be these other coalitions in government, whether Trudeau is the leader of the opposition. Oh, doesn't that sound good? Justin Trudeau, leader of the opposition. Woo! Your Honorable Prime Minister Pierre Poilievre. Man, it's right around the corner. But people are going to be talking about this stuff, and it's our jobs, it's our responsibility to educate people and to inform them, right? Don't be too pushy shovey, but say, hey, look, have you seen what's happening with the corruption? Hey, they can say whatever they want and make baseless accusations. Pierre Poilievre today came out on top as the bigger man. He did not scream and flail his arms like Justin Trudeau. He did not make baseless accusations. Pierre Poilievre is showing that he's fighting for the people. Sure, he's got some funny zingers, right? I find it funny. Likely you find it funny, right? Sell out sing and axe to tax, like the slogans, right, that are good, they're catchy, gets us interested, but it's applicable. Because it's what we're all thinking. So when the election comes, it doesn't look like it's happening now. In fact, not that it doesn't look like, it's not happening now, unfortunately. I hate to break that news. It's not happening. But when it does, it's our job to be ready to vote for what we believe in and what's right. Ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't get better than this. I mean, well, yeah, it does if they voted for non-confidence. But until then, it's as good as it's going to get. This was a phenomenal live stream. Phenomenal amount of support in the chat. You guys were wonderful today. So shout out to all of you. Shout out to the translators. I know sometimes they take their time and it's not that good, right? And by the time the member is already halfway through the speech, the translator's just then taking what's being said in French and spitting it out in English for us. But it's a hard job translating French to English on the spot like that, on the dime. So shout out to them. And Greg Fergus, shout out to you, buddy. I'm coming with a petition, a strongly worded letter online. I'm coming. Ha ha! We are coming for you, Fergus. You will be held accountable for abusing your power as Mr. Speaker and hitting that mute button. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow on the stream. It looks like Justin Trudeau's back, so hopefully he'll be there. Pierre Poilievre will be there as well. And stay tuned. Make sure you subscribe to this channel. Make sure you click and tap that like button if you haven't yet already. There's 3,900 likes so far. Let's see if we can get it above 4,000. Above 4,000, right? And thank you to everybody who donated, super chats. There was also people that sent money on PayPal, right? I saw that on my email. Like, that's insane, guys. Wow. Insane. Don't ever feel like you have to do that. It's not an obligation. You don't have to do that. Just liking the videos. That's why I say it. Liking the videos and subscribing goes a long way because it really, really does. But to everybody else who went that further step, gifted members, got a membership, super chatted, super sticker, PayPal donations, bought merch and all that stuff. That's phenomenal. And thank you so much. It really does mean a lot. I started this as a hobby, right? I wanted to pay more attention to what was happening in our country. Now we've built an incredible community with 114,000 subscribers on the way to 200,000. That's insane. And thank you to all of you who showed up. And I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye for now.